think they're experts on all things demonic, but sometimes stuff happens that even they can't explain. Today we have footage of an exorcism, something else that looks angelic in form only, and more, so let's get into it. It may come as a surprise that any case involving the Warrens would be included on a list like this. Yeah, that was sarcasm, we're all big fans of the famed demonologists around here, and what better way to start off a demon list than with some of the most well-known demon experts of all time. We don't talk about it often, but the case of Maurice Frenchy Theriault is difficult to dismiss as a hoax. Usually, psychological explanations for bizarre behavior, exaggerated reports, and a tendency to believe in the supernatural would kind of make you skeptical about a story like this one. But then, you'll see the shocking footage of the exorcism and change your mind. Frenchy, like many alleged demonic possession victims, had a traumatic upbringing. He suffered long hours working on his family farm, dealing with his father's attitude, which became more and more violent towards his son as he became older. Frenchy began to ask for help, calling upon anybody who would offer assistance, even unknowingly asking Satan to help him. It was during this time that he witnessed something horrific in the farm's barn that is never explained fully, but it's hinted at enough. After that particularly horrific incident, Frenchy discovered that he had acquired otherworldly powers. He eventually left the farm and floated around New England for years, and in the spring of 1985, the town noticed something unusual going on with him. Humid redness would randomly appear in his home and on his body. He had increased strength and found that hidden knowledge was suddenly revealed to him. He also had the ability to be in several places at once. And yes, that was the most disturbing power that he had. It was decided that his case was one of possession, and Bishop Robert McKenna was called in and agreed to perform an exorcism. But during said exorcism, things got crazy, and not in the usual snarling and body contorting fashion. The slow morph of Maurice's face in the video of his exorcism is extremely disturbing, and the footage is only recommended for a mature audience, by the way. Off-screen, boil eruptions appeared on his skin, and even crosses appeared all over his body. But the clip that we have just oozes evil, and has convinced many skeptics that Frenchy was really possessed by a demon. Given that this case occurred in the mid-1980s, many years before the sophisticated CGI technology we have today, this footage might just be the creepiest unexplained event ever recorded. Sadly, 7 years later, Theriault killed his wife and then himself. His sister denounced the possession as a sham, saying he faked the tears and the speaking Latin backwards, but Lorraine Warren was like, it was no fake. Ed added, like, if it was mental illness or a fake, why did tables rise off the floor? We put him in a hospital for 6 weeks and the doctors couldn't explain it. This next Facebook video is perplexing, if not frightening. When you see the footage taken on Vivian Gomez's security camera, you're gonna find yourself saying what the heck along with her. So in the video that we have, you can see a short, kind of jovial figure, a scrawny frame on weak legs, gallivanting along with no reservations. This thing looks like a cross between an elf, a goblin, an alien, and a lot of folks have made comparisons to Dobby. I think that's the character's name from the Harry Potter series. So Vivian awoke one Sunday morning in 2019 and checked her monitor for any activity patterns from the night before, because gotta check your security cameras. And at first she saw a shadow falling across the front door near the camera that kind of got the figure, and moments later you saw the figure casually skipping around the driveway, doing what many spectators refer to as the chicken dance. The description included with the post states, so I woke up Sunday morning and saw this on my camera and I'm trying to figure out, like, what the heck. First I saw the shadow walking from my front door, then I saw this thing. Has anyone else seen this on their cameras? The other two cameras didn't pick it up for some reason. So the video, which has since been dubbed the Dobby video due to the figure's resemblance to the character that we mentioned earlier, has gone viral with over 180,000 shares and almost 16 million views on Facebook alone. According to an article in USA Today and several comments on the Facebook thread, some people suspect that the video might be doctored. Well, others say that maybe it was a puppet, but Gomez insists it's real. She's been quoted as saying, look, if anyone tested it or whatever they do, it would confirm it's not altered. Ghostly photos are pretty common on social media. Ditto for video. But then you look at Richard Christensen's undeniably unsettling media, and this was captured on January 1st, 2017 in Phoenix, Arizona. He's like, what the hell do you see in this for reals? Anybody? The post has since been deleted, but thank you Internet Archives. Well, he didn't take a guess at what he saw, the internet was all over it. His post prior to it being deleted had been shared like 90,000 times, had 10,000 comments. People were pretty active about this. It shows what appears to be either an evil angel or gargoyle strolling an empty street. And in the comments a lot of folks were like, is this good? Is this bad? Is it angel? Is it demon? Some folks thought it might have been proof of the elusive Mothman. A few rational voices tried to speak up. They were like, hey, maybe it's a palm tree. But a lot of folks are like, no, this is something supernatural, possibly demonic. A video that has garnered over 2 million views has caught the attention of the mainstream media and paranormal skeptics. So in this next video, posted on YouTube by user Gamma Mori back in 2013, shows a man in a hoodie being attacked and dragged by a dark entity, possibly a ghost or a demon, in a hallway security camera. The poster says, I love how people claim the video is fake right away, just because they think that ghosts aren't real. Well, maybe the guy who was pushed down the video and dragged halfway down the hall didn't think ghosts were real until the encounter. Yes, we do have a couple of skeptics stepping forward being like, They're like, stop the video at exactly 49 seconds. You're gonna see he's detaching something from his leg. I'm 100% sure of it. Also, this is why the apparition doesn't have any reflection. The way he starts down the hall looks like acting. Like, have you never walked dramatically down a hallway? Thankfully, other people agree with me. One commenter said, I have seen plenty of these shadow people. I had one right in front of me the other day when I got out of the bath. Never been so scared. So take that, doubters. And finally for today, a Hawaiian runner said she was left with literal goosebumps after unknowingly encountering an alleged demon during a grueling race in Hawaii, as seen in a spine-tingling video. She wrote in a blog post earlier this year saying, to this day, we still don't know what it was. An avid runner since high school, Kay Borlis, the art director and designer, specializes in ultramarathons, defined as any run longer than 26 miles. This particular incident allegedly occurred in January of 2019, while Kay was competing in the Hurt 100-mile race, which is a grueling 20-mile loop through Honolulu's Mocha trails that participants run 5 times. Now this race is especially brutal due to the numerous obstacles, including thick mud-caked routes, numerous water crossings, cliffs, steep rocky inclines. The competition was going swimmingly, pun intended, until Kay injured her foot during her second to last lap and had to pull out of the race, marking the first time she'd ever done so in her career. And that's when things took a turn for the terrifying. After getting home and regrouping, her racing partner, pacing partner, Cassie, sent a bunch of photos from the race to like a group chat. Well, shortly thereafter, Cassie received a text about one of the moving photos, so like a live photo, which depicted a dark figure dressed in a cloak that was moving past her while she was running. This is according to the blog. Accompanying footage shows Kay jogging alongside the shady jungle trail. And then all of a sudden you get this shadowy entity emerging from the foliage and walking right past her. But neither of the ladies saw any person on that strip of trail. The reason why nobody was on that part of the trail is because all runners had to run in a clockwise direction, and tourists weren't out that early. The gals didn't see anybody for hours while running together. So they're like, okay, they're positive there was nobody there. Alarmed, Kay did do some digging about the area, and that's where they found the local legend claiming that the region is roamed by a lot of spirits. They're called night marchers. According to Honolulu magazine, these rainforest creatures supposedly traveled at night to protect people, so sacred that the common man was never allowed to look at them. Breaking that rule meant death. If found in the path of one of these creatures, mortals should, be nude, lie face down to avoid looking at them. Folklore dictates that if you were to urinate on yourself, that also might help keep you alive, and also if you share like a direct descendant line with any of these specters in the procession. So Kay's lucky she didn't spot the alleged forest spirit until after the fact. After uploading the photos to social media, the cross-country competitor was swarmed by haters, who called her and Cassie a lot of mean names. Some folks even accused her of doctoring the image, and other people were like, no, it's just a crazy person on the trail. But Kay is adamant. She saw something out of the ordinary. She's like, we have the photos and the live photo as evidence of something. She plans to return and complete the ultramarathon, by the way. Hopefully she doesn't run into anything this time. A Canadian nature lover's attempt to capture wildlife on camera backfired very terrifyingly after she inadvertently documented what appeared to be nude witches eating an animal carcass at night right by her house. She's like, I don't know what the heck was up with that. Her name is Cornea Stanhope, and she told Kennedy News of the spine-tingling sight. She's like, it really freaked us out. It's not something you see every day. The Powell River native had reportedly been riding one of her horses when she came across a dead deer in her garden. Well, most folks might have turned their nose up at the sight. The mother and her grandpa Bob, 76, decided to set up a camera to see if it would attract any critters, just for funsies. Well, the next day she checks in, and grandpa said he'd gotten nude people on camera, and she's like, no you didn't, BS. So we showed her. Well, these bone-chilling photos, taken just after sunset, showed 2 disheveled-looking women with long black hair obscuring their faces, squatting over the dead deer and appearing to dine on its remains. The wicked hungry pair are completely in the nude, minus what looks like loincloths over their nether regions, in what looks like found footage horror film-esque sort of photos. It looks like they have wigs on, said Stanhope. One looks like she has maybe blonde hair underneath. She's like, you can't really tell from the photos, but the hoof was brought right up to her mouth. Our poor witness said she wasn't wasn't sure if the so-called witches were kissing it, smelling, or eating it, but she was nevertheless sickened by the ritual, given the amount of bacteria that was probably on the decaying carcass. She said she was especially creeped out because the impromptu cuddling session occurred only 2 minutes from her house. She's like, I was concerned about them messing with my horses at night. Apparently the horses always get really spooked and unnerved around that area, and horses are pretty prone to being able to be in tune with things. She said, I thought they imagined stuff at first, so she didn't think anything of it, but now she believes them. Social media seemed concerned that the Canadian had witnessed witches, a local cult, or some other malevolent entity performing a demonic ritual. This is actually terrifying, commented one viewer. While another was like, that's an S-walker. They look humans, so you come up to them, and once you do, you're gone. And that's basically a walking demon from hell, said a third. If you hear screaming, stay inside, get a weapon, leave it alone. Some commenters suggested they were part of some, demonic cult, and I believe them. Back in 2021, Australia's ABC network was playing a routine news telecast when the anchor was taken by surprise as an unexpected satanic clip played during a switch of visuals. The anchor in question, Yvonne Young, was presenting a story about Queensland's proposal to make killing of police horses or dogs a criminal offense. Her narration was visually cut by a frame of 3 officers walking, then it pans back to her. Pretty typical, right? Well, a few seconds later, her narration once again gets interrupted by a change of visuals, but this time the network played a satanic ritual on screen during the live telecast. In that scene of just a few seconds, a man can be seen standing in a black robe. Another person is seen standing beside the robe-clad person, and then there's somebody seen sitting next to a keyboard. There's also an upside-down cross in one corner of the room. The whole clip of the satanic ritual played for only a couple of seconds, but was caught by another media house. Also, the man in the black robe can be heard saying, "Hail Satan." The producers realized the mistake and immediately cut the feed, bringing the anchor back on screen. Poor thing stayed silent for a couple of seconds, then quickly started introducing another story, kind of awkwardly. But can you blame her? Some folks believe the people from the visual were members of the Noosa Temple of Satan that at the time was protesting against Queensland's education department regarding religious instruction classes in schools. Meanwhile, the temple themselves retweeted the clip with the caption saying, "Satan works in mysterious ways. I don't want to know." American professional boxer Ryan Garcia recently alleged that Bohemian Grove, which is a place that exists north of San Francisco, is very much real, and it is an elite club where he reportedly witnessed some really heinous stuff we're not supposed to talk about on the internet. He claimed this during an X-Space hangout with Andrew Tate on March 5th earlier this year, and in the wake of his allegations, a video went viral that showed an alleged satanic ritual performed at Bohemian Grove. The video was reportedly leaked back in the year 2000 by prominent conspiracy theorist and radio show host Alex Jones, who allegedly infiltrated the Bohemian Grove around the same time after being denied entry multiple times. Well, the visual's kinda hazy, audio's a little unclear, some of the ritual was ongoing with fireworks, cloaked priests, and there's a lot of speculation about alleged satanic ceremonies that have emerged. Additionally, Alex Jones's interview on the Joe Rogan Experience has also gone viral, where he claims that when he trespassed the Grove 2 decades back, he saw effigies being burnt in front of a large owl shrine, further fueling the alleged satanic ritual speculation. While the Bohemian Club website refutes the claims of secret and illegal affairs going on, or heck even the existence of things, a 2011 article in the Washington Post revealed that the members of the Manhattan Project met there regularly back in the 1940s, and that should alarm you. A mysterious snippet of footage showing people wearing black robes making a human sacrifice in front of a Shiva statue at the CERN, or European Organization for Nuclear Research campus, was posted on YouTube back in 2016 to a lot of debate. Well, a lot of folks were like, it's fake, it's staged. It's been confirmed that the video was indeed filmed at the CERN campus, and these cloaked figures are allegedly CERN researchers performing a satanic human sacrifice at the Large Hadron Collider. So CERN is a highly protected, restricted area with a lot of security gates and CCTV cameras. Another mysterious piece of information is the man who was filming the incident. Despite him freaking out seeing the alleged sacrifice, his reflection on the window pane shows he was wearing the same cloak as everybody else. Creepy. Finally for today, Python cowboy Mike Kimmel appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast on August 11th of last year to share a crazy story about stumbling across what looked to be the aftermath of a ritual deep in the Everglades. So he was hunting invasive pythons at the time. And by the way, if you scroll his Instagram long enough, you're gonna see videos of him rescuing raccoons, saving law-abiding alligators from python death grips. He knows what he's talking about. Some of his posts border on full-blown PDA for his hunting dogs. He also shares pictures from guided hunts with clients. He's the real deal. However, his strangest post of all is about the time he came across some peculiar litter around an infamous abandoned abandoned Aerojet rocket test facility one night in April of 2019. Kimmel has spent countless hours chasing invasives around this area of the Everglades, and he had to investigate. First, he says he spotted dolls that had their eyes gored out and inverted crosses across their forehead. Then it turned into Latin graffiti sprayed in red paint and a wooden cross stuck in a giant rock pile. The situation really devolved when he climbed up the rock pile and came across a small scarlet snake wrapped around the neck of yet another doll. This snake was still alive, and it was leaking redness from its rear end. Now, according to him, it's rare to find a snake in this area, and it's really weird that it's wrapped around the doll, and also the whole redness thing. The snake's maybe a foot long. It's tiny. Kimmel said he's caught thousands of snakes in his life. None of them have ever been leaking redness out of their rear like that. By this point, he's a little freaked out. Dolls with no eyeballs and a little graffiti is one thing, but a live animal in anguish takes this beyond any kind of silly prank. He said as he was leaving that rock pile, there was a huge spray-painted phrase on the asphalt, maybe 50 feet long, and it was translated to, "He's watching, turn around, run, hide." So he moved further into the main building of the complex, and the more he investigated, the weirder it got. He found a 50-foot spray-painted pentagram with a three-legged chair in the middle, with a big red stain, like something was sacrificed there. On the walls there were more Latin sayings with upside-down crosses. In another room there was a little nightgown, and he thinks it was spray-painted red, but it was supposed to look like it was covered in bad fluids. There was a lot of phrases on the wall that were talking about sacrificing a human to the devil, and in one of the rooms that he couldn't gain access to, he could tell through a busted out window that there was a sleeping bag in there, something stuffed inside, and that's when he was like, I'm out of here. Later on, when he got home, he started researching the facility. The man who built it was named Marvel Jack Whiteside Parsons, a Caltech rocket scientist and the co-founder, obviously. He was a known Thelemite occultist, meaning he practiced the Thelema spiritual philosophy and new religion founded in the early 1900s. Now, this isn't directly linked to Satanism, but he was known to conduct rituals summoning goddesses with Scientology founder Ron Hubbard. Enough said.
First up, we have Incubus. This dark demon is said to take on the appearance of a male human who tries to impregnate unsuspecting women while they are asleep. Now, the goal of Incubus is to use his unsuspecting victims to birth demons and witches in order to create more servants of hell and devil worshippers. The word incubus is actually derived from the Latin language and directly translates to nightmare. So keeping that in mind, it only makes sense that this demon would appear in the shadows of the night to prey on his victims. It is not known how many dark beings Incubus could have fathered, but it is believed that the famous magician Merlin was actually created by Incubus. Many people believe that Merlin would actually spread dark magic in the towns that he traveled to while he was under the demon's control. Now, some people also believe that this demon has actually been summoned through a Ouija board on multiple occasions. There are many stories that people find their partners alone in bed doing some unspeakable acts by themselves. It also appears that any woman who has been a victim of Incubus has no recollection of the events that led to their eventual pregnancy. And once a Ouija board has been used to summon Incubus, it is incredibly hard to get rid of him. This is not as simple as opening a door and kicking someone out of your house when you want them to leave. Some of the oldest tricks that were used in the medieval era include covering your bed in black salt and burning special types of incense that Incubus really doesn't like. So unless you want to have a very disgusting visitor arrive in your home, the Incubus is one demon you should never activate with a Ouija board. So do you believe that Ouija boards are as dangerous as people claim? Give us your thoughts in the comments down below as we check out some more demons. Next up is Beelzebub. This demon is viewed as many different things by many different people, which brings up the possibility that it could be a real-life shapeshifter. Now, most demons have a clear goal that they want to achieve, and they have various ways of manipulating their victims in order to obtain what they want. Beelzebub loosely translates to Lord of the Flies, which has led many to believe that this demon could very well take on the appearance of a small insect. However, other stories have described Beelzebub as a large demon that actually commands a huge army of insect-like creatures. It is said that Beelzebub uses its many servants to cause destruction and wreak havoc on Earth through violent attacks. These servants are generally regarded as scum and excrement that are lurking in the deepest depths of the underworld. Some religious figures even believe that these servants are damned souls who are forced to carry out their Lord's dirty work for the rest of eternity. The Catholic Church especially fears Beelzebub, as he is even mentioned in the Bible. The scribes in Mark 3:22 have actually accused Jesus Christ himself of working directly with Beelzebub. Some believe that the Lord of the Flies was banishing evil spirits away from Earth on Jesus' orders so he could gain even more servants. Now, anything that commands an army of evil spirits and has the ability to shapeshift should not be taken lightly. Summoning Beelzebub with a Ouija board can enrage the demon and cause it to take over your day-to-day life. There have been reports of Beelzebub appearing in homes as a large dark mass that is most active at night. Other smaller paranormal events are likely the work of his minions, but this is one demon you do not want to mess around with. After that, we have have Antoine Gay. This one may not sound as terrifying as a traditional demon, but it could be even more dangerous. Antoine Gay started out life as an ordinary human being, but he is infamously known as being one of the strongest cases of demonic possession to this very day. Antoine was a Frenchman who served in the military in the 1800s before becoming a carpenter in the city of Lyon. He then decided he wanted to begin the process of becoming a monk and was accepted as a lay brother at his local abbey. Now things took a strange turn for him, however, when he shockingly decided to leave the church due to a complete nervous disorder. His sudden mood swings and his unexplained conditions quickly started to raise concerns that he had been possessed by a demon. He was examined by priests and other religious figures who reported that Gay spoke in a much deeper tone and began to share dark secrets of his life. He also started speaking in perfect Latin without ever studying the language or having any knowledge of it. Now religious figures named the demon that had possessed Antoine Isacaro, but not much was known about the demon or its intentions beyond its name. Antoine Gay eventually passed away in the late 1800s due to various complications that priests believe were linked to the demon who had possessed him. But nowadays there are people who are convinced that Antoine Gay is still inhabiting our world as an evil entity. There are rumors that Isacaro had passed its energy onto Antoine when he passed away, and he is now tormenting other souls all around the world. However, because of the mystery surrounding the original demon, no one is really sure how to stop it. Ouija boards are likely the easiest way to summon it, but there is no reason why anyone should even attempt to do that. Next on our list is Baphomet. This demon is another direct servant of Satan who was mentioned in texts as far back as the 11th century. He is described as a large winged beast with a goat head and a human-like body. Many paintings also show the words dissolve and coagulate tattooed on the demon's arms. Now this seems a little strange at first until you realize the main purpose of this demonic figure. Many believe that Satan had originally summoned Baphomet to destroy religion from the inside out. He would manipulate humans on earth to carry out some evil deeds and spread the word that religion was very bad for the soul. Of course, Baphomet needed a large following of loyal servants who would help him in his quest, and he didn't have a tough time finding them. The infamous Knights Templar that existed between the 12th and 14th centuries were apparently the main followers and direct servants of Baphomet. They would supposedly carry out all sorts of anti-Catholic rituals and actions, which included spitting on the cross. While the Knights were technically a military order that was supposedly fighting alongside the Catholic Church, some believe that they were actually fighting against it. Many people started to question the Templars' faith in the early 1300s, and some were convinced that they were worshipping demons. Then in 1307, it was King Philip IV who ordered the majority of the Knights to be arrested for worshipping Baphomet. This led to the of many members and the complete dissolution of the order. But if you thought that spelled the end of Baphomet altogether, then you would be very, very wrong. There are many anti-religious groups that still exist today, and many believe that they are actively summoning Baphomet to carry out their orders. While many evil spirits are keen on working with this terrifying demon, others are still actively fighting to banish him forever. And finally we have Lucifer. Now this evil figure is actually a fallen angel who is now believed to be the demon of pride. Now because pride is one of the 7 deadly sins, Lucifer's actions have resulted in him being labeled a demon by many in the Catholic Church. It is said that Lucifer was actually one of God's greatest creations, and many regarded him as a true son of God. While Lucifer was gifted a throne by God himself and was placed in the Garden of Eden to enlighten humans, his own self-pride eventually got the better of him. After witnessing the creation of Adam and Eve, Lucifer was ordered to bow to the original pair of humans. But in a defiant move of power, Lucifer declared that his creation was far superior and he refused to bow to Adam and Eve. Now some believe that Lucifer was incredibly brave to rebel against his creator, but God was not interested in hearing his argument. Lucifer was banished from heaven for his actions and is regarded as the first sinner for putting his own self-pride before God. His appearance as an angel quickly transformed into a demon who convinces people to develop egos. It is believed by many in the Catholic Church and others that egotistical people are the works of Lucifer himself, as he leads them to their inevitable downfall. While many demons could be considered more dangerous due to their violent natures, Lucifer could actually be the most cunning of them all. His slow and steady manipulation of a person's ego can lead to some terrible choices in life that can have irreversible consequences. The estimated number of victims who have been manipulated by Lucifer throughout history is well into the millions. Summoning this entity through a Ouija board might not have an immediate impact on a person's life, but it will slowly crush them over time. There are definitely ways to fix a person who is possessed by Lucifer, but you'd be better off just keeping him far away from any Ouija board.
Alrighty everybody, we're starting off today with a game that has plenty of coverage on the interwebs of Hell Gone Wrong, The Three Kings. If we've learned anything from horror and sci-fi films, it's that making contact with another dimension is never a good idea. But hey, maybe it'll work out just fine for you. To play this, you're gonna need 3 chairs, 2 mirrors, a fan, at least 1 candle, and an alarm clock, among other things. After the extensive prep, at exactly 3:33 in the morning, during the cursed hour of the night, you'll need to sit, holding the candle, looking straight ahead for an hour, during which time you'll apparently access the mysterious shadow side. What is it? Well, you'll just have to perform the ritual to find out. I did find some Reddit retellings from folks who have okayed it and had it go wrong, so let's discuss one in particular. They deviated a little bit from the instructions, which is so stupid, but whatever. So they set up the 3 wooden chairs, borrowed 2 big mirrors, and used their grandfather's watch as their power object. So, it's stupid AM, and they ventured down to a basement alone. It was pitch black down there, and our narrator was shaking like a leaf. Wonder why? They sat down between the mirrors, staring into the darkness, trying not to freak out, because apparently the atmosphere was so intense, our narrator could feel somebody else in the room with them. So they sit there, trying to keep it together, and started seeing movement in the mirrors, even though they weren't moving. It was like something was trying to get their attention, and to the shock and surprise of nobody, our narrator was freaking the heck out. But they kept their cool, tried to focus on not looking directly into the mirrors. But that's when things get weirder. They started hearing murmuring all around, like people talking in hushed tones, and it was so freaky that our poor player was like, okay, I'm losing my mind. And then they asked if they were alone, and they got some creepy responses, being like, someone who knows, yourself. Which it's like, okay, game over. That's when the voices also started saying things that hit way too close to home, stuff about our player's past, deepest fears. It was like they were trying to mess with their head, and well, it worked. At one point, our poor victim felt like something was right behind them, breathing down their neck, and they felt their heart pounding in their chest, and they were like, okay, I want to get the heck out of here. But they were kind of frozen in fear. And then, just when they thought it couldn't get any worse, candle went out. The player tried to relight it, but it wouldn't catch, and they were sitting there in total darkness. That's when they ran like hell, flipped on the lights, feeling like they just survived a horror movie. Yeah, I'm not surprised, but hard pass, never playing that for me. Next up is a game I feel like some of you might know about, the Gallery of Henri Beauchamp. There is a lot of room for error in this one, and apparently one wrong move could be your last. Like your eyes could shrivel up, your nightmares could come to life, your body could burn from the inside. We love spontaneous human combustion, and you could also be sent straight to hell. Well, I'm going there anyways. There's a ton of steps to this ritual, and it begins by stepping into a particular small bar in Paris. You'll be asked in clear and perfect English, what would you like to partake of this glorious night? And no matter what, you gotta answer absinthe. The next question will regard the type, and you gotta say one of 2 things. The stuff that man himself could not bear to take, or the good stuff, the best stuff, whichever one you answer. Whichever one you can remember. If you ask for any other absinthe in any way, you're gonna be plagued by nightmares for 13 days. If you make it that far before sealing your fate, the bartender's gonna say, be sure you handle this with care, this is the finest I have. Now from here you also have a multiple choice situation. Say, word for word, I overestimated my fortitude and I bid you good eve. So that's how you get the heck out of there. Other than that, good luck, go on. So you're gonna be given a glass with a 7-sided rim, with each side twisting ever so delicately around the basin until forming a sleek and simple handle. You're also gonna receive a very, very, very special absinthe spoon in the shape of a key. The holes at the key's top serve as the draining point for the booze to pour over the sugar cube. And of course, an unmarked bottle, stripped long ago of its label, scraps of paper sticking to its sides, covered in the rot of decades past. So the spoon's completely flat, but it has 2 distinct sides, one with a groove along the shaft of the key and one without. So turn the shaft down, so its groove will be face down. Now if your spoon is the right way up, begin preparing the absinthe as one would. Say cheers to the barkeep, bottoms up, and if you've done it right, the already dim lights are going to go off, darkness is going to consume the bar. Don't be afraid, this is the cue that you've been approved for the exhibit. So eventually, a green floodlight's gonna shine brightly on a door on the far wall. The bar is gonna be bathed in green, the barkeep, he's gone. So take the spoon and put it into the keyhole of the green lit portal's doorknob. It's gonna fit perfectly, and reach the end of the keyhole with a resounding click. Inside is a small elevator with the most beautiful woman any mortal eyes can imagine, bathed in green glow in such an angle that the light refracts beyond her into the shape of wings. So the green fairy is going to ask you, going up? And considering all the trouble you just went through, you're going to say yes. So she's going to ask, as you cross the line from the bar to the compartment, how would you compare Beauchamp's surrealism to that of, say, René Magritte. And for that you must say, I've come to see more than art tonight. If you don't say that, well, the light's gonna blow out, the doors are gonna slam shut, elevator's gonna plummet through a seemingly infinite blackness before red lights grow brighter, and then, well, you've reached hell. But if you do get through all the hurdles, you say the right thing, you get kissed by a fairy, and you're filled with creative inspiration for the rest of your life. And of course, you get to see Beauchamp's paintings for yourself. Sure, this sounds like fun, but that's too many steps for me to remember. Next up, a cozier game, the bath game. So while washing your hair, you must repeatedly say, Daruma-san fell down, until you finish. You're going to visualize a woman falling, her head hitting a rusty tap that impales her through the eye, after which, well, she dies. And the next day, it's said that the ghost of Daruma-san will follow. If you try to look directly at her, she's going to disappear, but if you keep glancing behind your right shoulder, you might get a glimpse of the one-eyed ghost. At which point, you can perform a chopping motion with your hand while shouting, Kita, in order to escape her and win the game, as long as it's done before midnight, that is. We've got a pretty mainstream game next, Hail Mary. Does this game have a much more mainstream one? Sure, but the interweb platform doesn't like the B word, so bear with me. Originally in history, Mary wasn't summoned for the purpose of eye gouging or other macabre reasons, but to show a woman her future. So you're gonna do a candlelit ritual, and if you did it right, you're either gonna get a glimpse of your future husband's face, or you're gonna see a skull. So you're gonna die before marriage. But hey, I think that's still less horrifying and way more depressing than today's version, in my personal opinion. Since I know this is what y'all are waiting for, I will detail the spooky Mary ritual. So for this, you're gonna need a mirror, the classic, candles, preferably black, yellow, purple, or white, and matches or a lighter. All the basic game things. The game starts by turning off all the lights in the house, or at least the room you'll be in. Arrange all but one of your candles around your mirror, or on the sides of the mirror, minus the one that you're gonna be holding, because you gotta make sure you see things. So light all of them, including that one, and once you're calm, close your eyes and begin spinning in a circle while chanting B-L-O-O-D-Y, Mary 13 times. Try and visualize the entity as you chant her name, and after the 13th chant, open your eyes and face the mirror. You're either going to see her form in the mirror or only catch a glimpse of a shadowy figure leaving the mirror before, well, she mauls you. Those who have seen her and survived her encounter have described her as a rotting skeletal figure with nothing more than red discolored bones, long sharp nails, rotting flesh, clumps of matted red hair. Some say she's eyeless, and other folks say she's wearing the eyes of her past victims. And even more people are like, she's gonna drag you into the mirror to live with her forever. Demon doll lovers, this last game is for you. One man hide and go seek. This is a game that has deep roots in a ritual, specifically necromancy. So in this game you summon a spirit into the body of a doll, who then plays hide and seek with you, which, hey, on the surface seems pretty innocent, but if you're familiar with any creepy doll lore, I'd kinda recommend against it. Now while I'll tell you all how to play this, please don't. Please, please, please. But hey, the information's already out there, so I might as well make sure you're getting the facts, the warnings, and try and save a life. So to play this game, you're gonna need a doll, scissors or something else sharp, red thread, the sewing implement, rice, hair and or nail clippings from yourself, salt water in a cup, a working TV, and be in a bathroom. Now, this ritual needs a lot of work, so take this as a warning. Also, you're gonna have to name the doll. This isn't gonna work if you haven't named her, so give her some sort of name, wasn't your name. So to make my life easier, instead of saying insert name here, I'll name my hypothetical doll Annie. Once you have everything, go into the bathroom and cut the doll open. Remove all the fluff and filling, then restuff it with the rice and the clippings. Sew the doll back up with the red thread, use any remaining thread to tie up the doll. Run a bath filled with water and put the doll on the sink counter and go to your hiding spot. Place the cup of salt water and the sharp object on the floor of said spot. Now once the time reaches, you guessed it, 3 a.m., tell the doll, Annie, is it? 3 times. Go into the bathroom, put the doll into the water-filled tub, and then turn off all the lights in your home. After you've done that, go to your hiding spot, turn on your TV, close your eyes, count to 10, and then pick up the sharp object and go back into the bathroom. The doll should still be there, and say to the doll, I found you, Annie, and after you say this, you have to impale the doll with the sharp object, place the doll back onto the counter, and run back to your hiding place. Don't take the sharp object back after you puncture the doll, by the way. Now that you're in your hiding spot, remain silent. If anything happens to your TV, like flickering, images, turning itself off, that means the spirit and the doll are near. After you've been hidden for a bit, you have to take half, or as much of the salt water as you can, into your mouth. We're not swallowing it, just hold it in your mouth and search for the doll again. And make sure you bring the rest of the cup of salt water with you. Once you have found the doll this time, and hopefully it's still in the bathroom, you have to pour the rest of the salt water onto it, spit the water in your mouth onto it, and tell it, I win 3 times, which ends the game. Once the game has ended, dry the doll and burn it. there are any remains of the doll left, put salt on it and discard it far, far, far away. And hey, a couple of little things to keep in mind. If you have your phone, keep it on Do Not Disturb, have the brightness at its lowest, and also just don't use it. Try to stay calm, stay silent, especially if you think the spirit's in the room with you at any time. Try to keep all the doors unlocked in case you need to bolt at any time, but that's only in case of emergencies. Otherwise, try not to leave the house because, well, spirits are gonna have fun. Keep some salt with you because worst case scenario, you're gonna wanna line the door to the room you're in, and also keep some religious tools with you if it makes you feel safer. Also, try not to hide in any places where you could get cornered. And above all, use your common sense.
The haunting of Jure Grando, now the first recorded vampire in European history. People said his corpse knocked on doors. They said anyone who heard that knock passed away within days. And when villagers finally opened his coffin 16 years after his passing, they swore the body inside was warm, supple, and smiling. This is the nightmare of Jure Grando Alelovic, the first man ever documented as a vampire in European written history. So Grando lived in the small 17th century village of Kringa in what is now Croatia. He was a poor stones mason, a husband, a father, and according to the entire region, a terror after his passing. He passed away in 1656, but the horror began only after he was buried. Not long after the funeral, the villagers claimed they began hearing knocks at their doors in the middle of the night, slow, deliberate, unnervingly human. And as the story goes, whoever's door he knocked on would fall sick and pass away shortly after. The pattern repeated at least half a dozen times, and by then the entire village believed something evil was walking amongst them. Even worse was what happened to his widow. She claimed her deceased husband appeared in her home at night, his skin gray and pulled tight over the bone, his mouth twisted into a strange smile, and that he, in her words, forced himself upon her. She described him reeking of decay with breath colder than winter air. For 16 years, this continued. People just passed away. Crops failed. Parents refused to let their children outside after sundown. Finally, the terrified villagers went to their priest, who assembled a group of 9 men to confront the grave. When they dug up his coffin, they were shocked. They reported that his body looked fresh, untouched by decay, with new growth of hair and nails, and a peaceful smile on his face. The priest attempted to pierce his heart with a wooden stake, but the stake bounced off as if, the chest were made of stone. Only when the men physically restrained the corpse and sawed off his head did the terror end. Witnesses claimed a scream came from the body and that a gush of red liquid poured out onto the ground as if he were alive and hemorrhaging. This case became one of the first formally documented vampire encounters in European history, written by the chronicler Johann Weckhard von Valvassor. The Vampire Panic of Peter Blagojevic, if I'm saying that right, the case that introduced the word vampire to the Western world. 9 people passed away in 9 days. Every one of them claimed they were asphyxiated at night by the same man, a man who had been deceased and buried. This is the Vampire Panic of Petar Blagojevic, the event that brought the word vampire into the Western European vocabulary. In 1725, in a small Serbian village under Habsburg rule, an old peasant named Peter Blagojevic passed away. He was buried without any suspicion, but within a week, his passings began. The first was his own son, who reportedly claimed his deceased father appeared in the night and demanded food. When the son refused, the apparition lunged at him and began basically asphyxiating him. Now, the young man passed away the next day. Then came more victims. Each person who passed away claimed the same thing before passing away, that Petar was visiting them at night, sitting on their chest and crushing the life out of them. Panic exploded through the community, and the villagers began, or basically begged the local Austrian authority for permission to exhume Petar's grave. When the officials dug up the coffin, they recorded that Petar's body looked fresh, his skin flushed, his beard appearing longer than a burial, and most disturbing, blood pooled around his mouth as though he had fed recently. Believing the body to be vampiric, if that's the word, they drove a stake through his heart. Now, according to the written account, the moment the stake pierced his chest, the corpse emitted a loud groan and fresh liquid gushed from the wound. This story became the first widely circulated newspaper report of a vampire, which directly led to the spread of vampire folklore across Europe, influencing everything from 18th century literature to the later Gothic era. The exorcism of Anna Euclid. Now, this is the woman witnesses called demon-possessed beyond human understanding. The priest said she levitated. They said she hissed in languages she never learned. Witnesses said her body bent backwards so far that her head nearly touched her heels. This is the terrifying case of Anna Euclid, one of the most disturbing possession accounts in American history. Anna was born in the late 1800s in Wisconsin. By her teens, she reported hearing voices, having violent urges, and being physically unable to enter a church. Whenever she tried, her body would seize and she would just spit, snarl, or collapse. I mean, local priests believe she had been cursed by her own father and aunt, both alleged to have practiced dark rituals. After an initial exorcism attempt, Anna improved for a while until everything suddenly got worse. In 1928, Anna was taken to a convent in Iowa for a series of exorcisms that lasted 23 days. What happened inside that convent terrified everyone who witnessed it. During the sessions, Anna reportedly spoke in Latin, German, and languages she had no way of knowing, screamed blasphemies with multiple voices at once, vomited objects including debris of what looked like tobacco leaves, clung to the walls like an animal, levitated off her bed for several minutes, twisted her limbs into impossible angles without breaking them, revealed secrets about the priest's private lives, refused food, yet her body did not weaken at times. And there was certain times where her body even reportedly became so heavy that 4 grown men couldn't even move her. Other times she was thrown violently across the room by forces that no one could see. The priests involved described the experience as inhuman, beyond earthly understanding, and a battle with something ancient. Now, after the final ritual, Anna collapsed, then opened her eyes as if waking up from a nightmare. Witnesses said her demeanor changed instantly, and the torment that, had plagued her for decades finally ended. The case remains one of the most cited possession events in 20th century Catholic records. The horrors beneath the plague houses. This is the vampire of Venice. When workers drained parts of a 16th century plague pit in Venice, they found a skull with a large brick jammed between the teeth, a vampire skull, according to historians who study ancient anti-vampire rituals. This discovery exposed a terrifying belief from Europe's past that plague victims could rise again hungry. The plague pits of Venice were mass graves dug during the Black Death. Now, bodies were thrown in by the thousands, but the deceased didn't always stay quiet. When more bodies were added weeks or months later, gravediggers sometimes discovered corpses that appeared to have moved, with red liquid around the mouth or bloated stomachs that made it look like they've been feeding. Now, of course, we know decomposition causes these effects, but to, terrified 16th century Venetians, these signs meant only one thing: the deceased were rising and eating the living. When the infamous vampire skull was unearthed, researchers discovered the body belonged to a woman. Historical records call these types of corpses shroud eaters, people believed to, wake inside their grave, chew through their burial cloth, and then rise to feed on the living. The brick in her mouth was an anti-vampire measure meant to stop her from chewing and prevent her return. This discovery proved that Venice once practiced full-blown anti-vampire rituals, not in myth, but in documented history. The demon of the Loudun possessions. This is when an entire convent claimed they were tormented by a devil. Nuns screamed in the streets, they convulsed, crawled on walls, and accused a priest of controlling them through demonic forces. The entire town of Loudun, France was swept into mass hysteria, or a genuine demonic event, depending on who you ask. Now, in the 1630s, the Ursuline nuns of Loudun began experiencing violent hallucinations, seizures, and night terrors. They screamed that they were being visited by invisible entities in the night, grabbed, scratched, and basically attacked by demonic forces. When doctors and priests questioned them, the nuns named a local priest, Urban Grandier, or Urbain Grandier. Now, they claimed he used sorcery to summon demons or to torment them, basically. Now, during the public exorcisms, which drew massive crowds, the nuns thrashed, shrieked, and shouted obscenities, spoke in different voices, and contorted their bodies. Some claimed to levitate, others exhibited impossible strength. What made the case more disturbing is that these possessions happened in synchronized waves, multiple nuns collapsing at once or launching into identical fits fits as if they were controlled by one force. The possessions gripped the town for years. Grandier was eventually accused of witchcraft. He was tormented and executed, but to this day, historians debate whether the events were either political manipulation, mass psychological illness, religious hysteria, or a genuine coordinated demonic phenomenon. Now, the Loudun possessions remain one of the most detailed mass possession records in history.
Number 5. The Invisible Guest. Our first clip today was posted to Reddit, and it's a delightfully strange one. It's CCTV footage of a security guard working in Buenos Aires at a hospital late at night around 3 a.m. Now, traditionally, that's kind of like the witching hour, but like no big deal or anything. Anyway, take a quick little look at the clip for us. We can see the security guard get up from his desk, clipboard in hand, opening the belt, even going so far as bringing in a wheelchair for this guest who doesn't appear to exist, at least not physically. Watch this clip as many times as you'd like, you'll never see who he's letting in because they just don't seem to exist at all. It's unsettling to say the least. Now, let's put on our rational caps and take a look at this. Let's give a little Scully approach. This could just be an extremely bored security guard working the graveyard shift at a hospital, doing anything to make himself entertained. I've worked long night shifts by myself, and let me tell you, I would do stupid stuff like this all the time just to keep myself entertained. Now, the Mulder approach, and that's why we're here, is that this could be any number of supernatural things. A ghost? Some sort of demonic entity possessing the security guard and making him open the door. It's the way the guard does it also routinely, as if he doesn't even realize anything is wrong or, nobody's there, that makes it so unsettling. And I think that's the word for this clip. It's unsettling. It's hard to describe. The clip went fairly viral for its bizarre nature, and the hospital clarified that the guard never registered a patient to enter. So either it was a prank or the demon just didn't have enough ID on it and just waltzed on in. So let me know what you all think. Is this a bored prankster or something supernatural piercing the veil? And if you're looking for a lot more strange security footage, cryptids, creatures, tales of the unknown, or tales of the very known, Top 5 Scary has all of that and then some in spades. We've got just about everything scary you could possibly think of. So click on through, subscribe if you'd like, but stay watching this video, okay? Because we got way more scary stuff coming up for you in just a second. Number 4, a gnome. Our next clip looks like something out of the start of a low-budget, like A24 horror movie. I started watching this clip and I thought it was kind of boring, and then as soon as it got going, I literally pressed my nose to the computer screen, so I hope you do the same. This clip was posted to the subreddit Humanoid Encounters and explained that this had happened to their relatives, and they don't really know what's going on. But what we can see in the clip is bizarre. Someone is outside on their front porch, shining a light into the darkness, trying to find what is stalking them on their property. It can be a little hard to see, but behind this big rock we see what looks like tiny little hands peering out, trying not to be seen, playing a spectral game of hide and seek. It's really difficult to figure out what's going on in this clip. We only have this flashlight helping us out here, but it almost seems too like there may be more than one of these creepy little crawlies running around back there. The OP who posted the clip originally suggested that these creatures are indigenous folklore of little people, which interestingly is a myth that's surprisingly common across the globe, with cultures in Ireland, Greece, the Philippines, New Zealand, and Indonesia, to name a few, all having local legends about little people or gnomes or elves or things like that, creeping in the night. Don't you worry, that'll come up more later. Now, Scully mode for a second. This could extremely easily be someone's kids being told to play along for a prank, get some views, or even someone just hiding behind a rock playing with a doll, poking it out. The only evidence we have against this really is that the clip looks weird, and OP's word that they swear this is a close family member and wouldn't do this sort of thing. And going through the YouTube channel, you can see it's mostly just family videos, so it does make sense. So what do we think, YouTube comments? Little people creeping around, or is this a tall tale? As like a height pun. I don't know if everybody picked up on that. It's pretty smart. Number 3, creature prowling. This next clip was originally posted to TikTok and then made its way over to the subreddit High Strangeness, which I definitely recommend if you're looking for a little weird stuff in your day-to-day. Extremely fitting title because I don't think there's anywhere else this could have been posted. The footage comes to us from the Philippines and was seen late at night by a group of friends walking home. You ready for it? Here you go. So, as you could probably see in the clip, there is something horrifying prowling around on top of this roof. It certainly looks human, but looking human is an easy trick, although this creature doesn't seem like it has that one down 100% just yet. It needs a little work on its human impression. The eyes are glowing, peering out at you. The eye shining is what really gets me about this clip. It's very creepy, reminds me more of a cat or a dog's eyes when being recorded in the night than it does any human. Could this possibly be a skinwalker mid-transformation that's been caught attempting to disguise itself? It definitely fits the bill of a creature walking like an animal but looks like a human. It almost looks too like it's sussing out its options, waiting for the right moment to pounce down. Now, let's get rational, get our Scully hat on. The most likely, if not uncomfortable possibility is that this could just be someone under the influence of one or all of the substances who's having a really bad night. However, it could also be something paranormal, supernatural, creeping around caught on camera, imitating a human being. Is this someone wearing the skin of a person, or just someone having a night they're not going to remember for a few weeks? You let me know, because I could go either way on this one. Number 2, a ghost. Coming up next is this clip that was making the rounds of an Instagram user going live. The user was complaining that he had seen something strange earlier in the day. He had mentioned that he had seen what he believed to be a dog man that he thought he saw, a fairly popular cryptid that gets mentioned every now and again and has been kind of picking up in popularity lately. He was talking on the live and then happened to hear something strange outside, so naturally he went to go look, and the results were horrifying. Let's watch the clip.
That I just
Did you see it? Well, we can roll it again if you didn't. At around a minute into the clip, when the user was going live, he hears something strange and goes in to check on what it was, and we see something rush by, if only for a second, that doesn't look like it came from this world even a little bit. It looks like a tall creature running by on its hind legs, and I'm gonna be honest, I immediately thought it was a werewolf. It kinda has that werewolfy vibe. Here's the thing about this one. Either this video is one of the best fakes I have ever seen, with a fantastic creature effects budget and some real impressive practical effect wizardry, and it's got an actor who really knows how to sell being scared, or this is actually something that happened to a real terrified guy and we caught his reaction live. I think it being on Instagram Live lends a little bit of credibility, I think, since it makes these things a lot harder to fake when you have to do it live. Ask any stage production. The thing doesn't seem like it's someone in a costume either. The silhouette looks all wrong. It really just does look like it was a werewolf caught on tape. Scully mode. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I have one. Molder mode. That is a werewolf. Full stop. That's a real werewolf. Why don't you all let me know down below in the comments what we think that might be down there, but that's a werewolf. I don't know if you're gonna be able to convince me otherwise. At number 1, the Costa Rica creature. Now, I spent a long time looking at some weird CCTV footage, door cam, blurry cell phone footage, trying to find something just weird and freaky to show you all for this video, and well, I think I've saved the best for last here. This footage was captured from a ring light security camera, and it's maybe one of the scariest things I've seen in a hot minute. Now, you take a little look-see for me, and I don't blame you at all if you need to scroll down to hide in the comments. It's safe there. Huh? What'd I tell you? Pretty weird clip? We can see a dog barking repeatedly at something outside, and at first I rolled my eyes because I thought, hey, this isn't anything supernatural, this is just 2 dogs barking at each other. Until I watched the clip over again and I realized what the dog was barking at is absolutely not a dog breed from this planet. No, we see something absolutely horrifying crawling around looking like a spider, like it just came out of Dead Space. The way the dog is barking really makes me stressed too. It's not just barking at something odd, it is freaking out and shrieking and screaming, and it seems panicked and scared and trying to let everyone in the neighborhood know that something deeply evil is around. This is one of those things where I look at it and rationally I want to say that this is just someone messing around, having fun, doing something for views, trying to get viral on TikTok. I'm having trouble being rational here. I just fully believe this might actually be a demonic entity that someone caught on camera, and personally I am extremely glad it is absolutely nowhere near me. Now, if you need me, I need to go watch some videos of, like, I don't know, cats being funny or something. Can we throw maybe a cat or 2 up at the end? A nice cute little guy, little palate cleanser for everybody. Number 5, driveway alien. Coming up first on our list is going to be this weird video of what looks to be, I'm gonna be honest with you, a visitor from another world touching down on the driveway. Now, you wouldn't expect aliens to make first contact in Colorado, but hey, here we are. In the video, we can see a really scrawny little creature running up and down Vivian Gomez's driveway. This creature had people talking after she posted the video to Facebook because, well, look at it. What is it? It's almost like it's got these giant, like, elephant ears flopping around when it moves. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this looks a lot like Dobby from Harry Potter, so we might have to seriously entertain the possibility that this is an elf that just got a sock and is running in happiness to be free. The woman whose driveway caught the security footage, Vivian Gomez, had this to offer alongside the video when she posted it on Facebook. So I woke up on Sunday morning and saw this on my camera, and I'm trying to figure out what the heck. First, I saw this shadow walking from my front door, and then I saw this thing. Has anyone else seen this on their cameras? The other two cameras didn't pick it up for some reason. Now, unfortunately, her security system would only film for about 10 seconds or so. So this is the only footage she had of the mysterious driveway creature. Gomez clarified for everyone that whatever this thing was, it wasn't her son. It wasn't a kid in a costume, because she doesn't let him out by himself that late. Although I think there's definitely a real question to be asked that she saw this thing running down her driveway late at night, and she considered the very real possibility that it might be her son. Like I said, I'm pretty sure the most reasonable, rational explanation is that this is a freed house elf very excited for his future in the first time. Or an alien, very possibly. Could be an alien that just touched down, or could also be a Terminator traveling in time. That's why I look naked. Gang, let me know down below what you think this mystery monster could have been. I'm curious to hear your input. And if you're looking for more scary content, don't even move a finger. We'll have scary videos playing after this one and hundreds more on the channel. Drop a subscribe for fresh screams in your inbox every day, twice a day. Number 4, the tentacle beast. Now, let's take a deep dive underwater for our next one and take a look at something freaky and tentacly. Ah, this feels nice. This feels like getting back to my roots talking about weird sea creatures. You know how much I love the Megalodon. A research crew comprised of marine biologists spotted the strange creature while on board the EV Nautilus, a research vessel used by the Ocean Exploration Trust, a non-profit that conducts deep sea research. While they were down there, they captured footage of a gigantic, bizarre tentacled sea creature swimming around the depths, and researchers have yet to be able to correctly identify it, leaving them to wonder if perhaps this is the discovery of a new species entirely. Luckily, they caught footage of this weird little thing so we can all enjoy it. The creature has a bunch of tentacles extending 16 inches from nearly 7-foot long stalk, and a single polyp with barbed tentacles cupping the polyp like spiky petals. The creature kind of looks like a bizarre, angry, spiky flower flowing through the water more than it does any other marine life I can think of. I'm pretty sure I saw this thing swimming around in the corner in one of the 800 scenes about swimming in Avatar 2. This nasty little thing was found 8,000 meters beneath the surface, where all the truly terrifying life starts to form and Mother Nature gets really creative in a Jackson Pollock kind of way. The expedition's lead researcher, one Steve Alskovich, and a deep sea biologist, described the sighting as fascinating, and I'd describe it as horrifying, but hey, we each do our own thing. From time to time, we come across something that we never expected to see, and those are often the most powerful observations. Look, I'll stop you right there, man. That sounds way too much like Jurassic Park dialogue for me to feel 100% comfortable. I'll stay where I am, you stay where you are. We'll stay in each other's lanes. Number 3, the Nightwalker. Coming up next is a mysterious figure that was recorded on security camera footage from Moorhead, Kentucky. That's in the US if you didn't know. Brought to us by trusted name in paranormal news, Paranormality magazine. The video got a ton of attention, garnering 500,000 views or so, and you can see why. It shows this wretched, pale, hunched over creature running around what looks like a downtown parking lot. What's really creepy about this whole thing is trying to figure out how big it is, you know? It's hunched over, which doesn't make it any easier, but you try and compare it to the car in the video and you can kind of see that it looks like it only comes up to the trunk. Is it a goblin? A gnome? Is this another freed house elf? Has there been a resurgence in freed elves? You can't even make out what the creature's face looks like, or if it has any facial features at all, to be honest. Like most good supernatural videos, the camera quality is very choppy. If you've got a keen eye, you probably noticed it's not a rip of the security camera proper, but rather someone recording a monitor. So it's a video recording of a recording, and you're watching a recording of a recording of a recording, so it's not the most crystal clear. Some commenters on the video are not nearly as convinced as me, your host who is easily and immediately convinced by everything he sees. Some have suggested that it could just be somebody in a morph suit, it could just be some youngsters having a bit of fun, but hey, I listen to those and I offer you, it could also very well be a demon sneaking around a parking lot. We listen to all sides, and we take them very seriously here at Top 5 Scary. Number 2, Pale Walker. Coming up next is a clip out of India that went viral last year and captured the attention of paranormal enthusiasts, alien hunters, and skeptics alike. It's really nice when you can get everyone in the community together like that. In this video, a strange, pale humanoid-like figure was spotted walking across the road in India, baffling the heck out of just about everybody who saw it. Whatever it was filmed walking alone steadily on a bridge at night in Yarkand in eastern India, staggering through the night. The thing resembles a human enough, and that's what my brain tells me it is. That's what Occam's razor suggests it should be. But the more you look at it, the more you start to wonder if maybe, just maybe, this might be something else. The creature is gangly, and it has these long arms and long legs, pale white skin, and a very skinny torso. Gosh, imagine having a skinny torso, being very pale, having very long arms, and gangly. Could not imagine what that's like. Could not imagine what that's like at all. It looks a great deal more like a monster out of Silent Hill 2 than it does a person. Motorcyclists in the video are swerving out of the way of the figure, which stops and stares at them for a bit before continuing to stroll onwards like it ain't no thing. Naturally, this got more people talking and wondering as to just what this thing could possibly be. More than a few people suggested that it could be an alien walking around the streets at night, explaining why it seems so confused about where it is. Some commenter even suggested that if you watch the sky, there's some lights up there. I don't know, I didn't see the video enough times. Others even suggested the possibility of it being a ghost, which would be pretty spooky. I'm always open to something turning out to be a ghost. I love a ghost. It does seem like it's interacting with the physical plane though, and those motorcyclists are trying to swerve out of it, so I'm not 100% on that. And finally, there's the realists, who I guess we have to listen to sometimes, who suggested that this could just be someone who had a long night and is lost, possibly on 1, 2, or all of the substances, staggering home trying to get a good night's sleep. Now, as far as I know, no one ever cracked this case, so hey, we may never have a satisfying answer to this. I think this thing should get in contact with the weird little creatures from Point 5 and Point 3, and maybe they can form a weird little pale creatures caught on CCTV footage union. I like this one too. Let me know down below what you think it is. I want to hear everybody's opinions. Number 1, the Chupacabra. And finally, coming in at our number 1 spot is going to be my beloved Chupacabra. Oh, do I love the Chupacabra. It's probably one of my favorite cryptids. If I've ever said another cryptid was my favorite before on this channel, I am now officially retconning it that I have always been saying Chupacabra. I love that in the world of cryptids, you got cool things like Mothman or the Flatwoods Monster that might be an alien, and then the Chupacabra is just like a weird dog. Sometimes it's a goblin, but most descriptions of the Chupacabra just make it out to be like kind of an angry big dog. Well, take a look at this footage of a big, angry, freaky, mangy mutt that's got people clutching their pearls and locking up the livestock. Recently captured footage out of Argentina shows a bizarre looking creature that almost resembles like a mix of a horse and a dog wandering the streets, and it had people scared. Like, it looks like a dog for sure, but an absolutely massive sized one, like bigger than me. I'm talking like Marmaduke size, as hard as that is to imagine. This strange creature was said to have savagely attacked at 2 dogs, fatally injuring a pit bull and a German shepherd, so whatever it is, we know it is angry. Chupacabras typically tend to stick to goats as their favorite prey. I mean, their name almost literally translates to goat sucker, and when you learn that about them, they become infinitely less scary. The clip was fairly popular, garnering nearly 400,000 views on YouTube, and if you ask me, it definitely looks like a Chupacabra to me. The Chupacabra is one that, I don't know, every couple years, something will come out about it. Someone will discover a weird dog and get a video of it, and most time it just ends up being a coyote missing fur with mange or something, but hey, goats keep going missing, keep showing up sucked out of all their blood, so maybe there really are Chupacabras hiding out there.
In 5th place, we have a North American ritual. While I'm about to talk about rituals in detail, I've left out some steps for safety reasons. If you decide to try and use the rituals, please let me know in the comments what happens. I do not recommend trying to open a portal, especially in our current climate. Seriously, as a Canadian, I've choked on enough forest fire smoke this year. But since this is what y'all want, allow me to begin. For starters, in order to open a powerful portal to hell, it's vital to work in a group, which should be made up of multiple powerful magicians channeling their collective energies into the creation of the portal. The more powerful the summoners there are in a group, the greater the results. Now, the power of the group will also determine how long the portal can remain active, since longer lasting portals allow more demonic demonic forces to enter our plane of reality. Secondly, one must find a suitable area for performing the ritual, ideally in a rural location. The area should be quiet and desolate, free of distractions or unnatural channels of energy. Rooms that are surrounded by nature are the best setting, since it's quite helpful to have a frame for the portal. There are also energy centers from ancient times scattered across the globe that can provide a, tenfold or more of magical energy than a group would be able to manifest on its own. I'm not giving examples there, that's where you've got to do your own research. Next up, the connection between spiritual planes of reality and our own is the most sensitive at 3 a.m. The line between spirit and matter overlaps at this hour, thus making us more aware of the spiritual forces which we'd otherwise not come in contact with. I hope you're a night owl, because I am certainly not these days. One must dress also appropriately for the summoning. While there's no high school level dress code, clothing worn should be simple, uniform, and if you own a dark or red magician's robe, that would be ideal. All folks involved should be dressed the same, but there are 2 variations where 2 exceptions are accepted. The first of the 2 exceptions in regards to colors may be the 1 or 2 magicians who plan on entering the portal. The other exception may be the leader of the group, who will also light the fire. Alrighty, now that that's out of the way, it's time to start the ritual. Pretty simple, just pour gasoline or another flammable concoction on the ground. If you're creating a new portal, you'll have to trace the outline of the area, but if the portal is already clearly marked, a straight line from side to side will do. Afterwards, time to surround the portal and begin to chant. Conjuro potentiae Lucifer, patefacio a porta ad inferos, et tua diamond transare, sic urantar mundi. I promise, I got through that without stumbling. As the 30th repetition approaches, have the leader of the group approach the portal and light the fire. On the 60th repetition, all the magicians should kneel on one knee, hands stretched, palms facing the flames from a safe distance, with energy from the hands directed at the flames. Repeat the chant for 30 more repetitions in that position. I couldn't. My knees absolutely could not. But on the 90th repetition, either the flame will soar higher and spirits visible to all or some members of the group will jump out of the flames, or another supernatural occurrence will be felt. If one of the members of the group feels summoned to enter the portal at this point, it can be done while the remaining magicians are channeling their energy into it. So the remaining magicians should remain in the kneeling position described previously, while 1 or 2 people at most pass through the portal. It's vital that the portal remains open so that the traveler or travelers have an exit. Don't wander off too much, because if your partner's concentration begins to falter, you could remain trapped forever in a state of doom and frenzy. Good luck on that front! In 4th place, we have the Cave of Sibyl. Naples, Italy is home to a gateway to hell called the Cave of Sibyl, which was described by Virgil over 2,000 years ago in the Aeneid. If I'm quoting directly, the gates of hell are open night and day. Smooth the descent and easy is the way. According to the poet, the Trojan hero of the same name met the oracle Sibyl here, and she guided him through the cave into hell. In 1932, after centuries of searching, explorers finally uncovered this entrance to the netherworld. Now today, visitors to the Cumae archaeological site can go inside Sibyl's cave and walk through her coffin-shaped rock-cut passageways. Okay, before someone asks about the ritual enacted, that was done privately by the prophetess, and I felt like since she left the portal behind, it deserved a spot on today's list. Partially because I wanted to emphasize that portals have been enacted since the beginning of time, and hey, if you need a portal, I'm not saying you should go here, but this place could have some strong energy for it. Don't do it, but if you are. In 3rd place, we have a ritual for summoning Satan. Once again, I'll be leaving elements out of this description. While I can't control what y'all do, I don't want any apocalyptic chaos on my conscience. My life is plenty exhausting enough without having that on its plate. This particular ritual comes from the Grimorium Verum, published by Jake Stratton Kent in 2009. So firstly, the magician must forge a pact with the demon that does the call dialing itself, a sort of psychopompic spirit called the Surling, whose sigil must be inscribed alongside the operant's initials at the outset of the process onto a ruby or correspondent precious stone. Ooh, I love rubies. So this amulet is to be worn inside the magician's breast pocket or on a necklace at all times. Essential to operating the Verum is a calendrical convention drawn from Hermetic astrology that utilizes both the planetary hours and assigns a spirit to each particular day of the week. So this dictates that the construction of most of the tools for the ritual are to be done at dawn over the course of a few weeks during a time when the moon is waxing. So unlike the ritual I kicked off today with, this one is much more time consuming. The actual ritual of summoning must be done at an appointed time, depending on the properties of the demon. So to compel the dark host, the magician must cut a branch at dawn from both a virgin elder tree on the day of Asaroth and hazelwood on the day of Surgat, inscribing upon them the seals of the demons Fremost and Klepot, to be fashioned into wands of evocation and divination, respectively. Similarly, the materials for the signing of the pact are to be purified and consecrated at dawn also on the day of Astaroth. The variant conveniently includes instructions for the consecration of a ritual stabby implement intended to sacrifice a goat, as well as its scanning, scraping, stretching, and curing into parchment upon which the demon sigil will be copied. The writing of the contract on the parchment, including the copying of the sigil of Sirlin, the demon seals, and the drafting of all legal agreements, is to be done at dawn on the day of Beelzebub. Special herbs and incense are then used to immerse the magician in a sensory tradition. A mixture of mace, frankincense, and aloe wood is burned in a censer upon the altar at the ceremony and used to fumigate all tools for the operation. For purity, the magician must anoint themselves and their tools in a sprinkling of holy water mixed with mint, marjoram, and rosemary that is bound by a thread spun by a maiden. The setting of the ceremony demands a magic circle that should be roughly 9 feet in diameter and must be drawn with a stabby implement, consecrated at dawn on the day of Silkard, and drenched in red mole fluid and juice of pimpernel. Within the circle's center, the magician is to draw the triangle of evocation, upon which is set the ceremonial altar. The ritual itself prescribes a rite of sanctification, using the wand to mimic alternating flail lashes, and a recitation of personal exhortations. Then, after a series of prayers used to elevate the operant's magical authority, the spirit is to be called forth. After chanting an incantation of barbarous names, the demons must be summoned in top-down hierarchy order. First petitioning one of the unholy trinity of Lucifer, Astaroth, and Beelzebub, then calling upon one of their 7 dukes, and then finally the demon further down the hierarchy which you wish to actually summon. Following an exhausting hours-long rite, the desired demon is believed to appear, either as a presence or as a vision in a mirror. So from here, the magician might sign a pact with the particular demon, and the rest depends on what is needed. And how you treat the demon. They're pretty dang tricky beings. In second place, we have Huska Castle. Located north of Prague, Huska Castle is a 13th century Gothic masterpiece that sits on top of Hell's Gate. Aesthetically speaking alone, I would love to visit it someday. According to local lore, the castle's chapel was built to cover an enormous hole in the ground that served as a satanic threshold. So I haven't been able to find the specifics on the rituals used to open the portal, but it was too important to leave off today's list. The defensive walls also prevented demons and other ghastly creatures from crawling out of the hellhole. Animal-human hybrids were reported to have crawled out of it, and dark-winged, otherworldly creatures flew in its vicinity. Legend has it that when construction began in the castle, all the prisoners that were sentenced to death were offered a pardon if they consented to be lowered by rope into the hole and report back on what they saw. So when the first person was lowered, he began screaming after a few seconds, and when pulled back to the surface, he looked as if he had aged 30 years. He had grown wrinkles and his hair had turned white. Ugh. May I recommend trying to find a modern-day Buffy? She'd be anyone's best bet for closing a hellmouth. During World War II, the bad German guys occupied the castle until 1945. The Yahtzees were said to have conducted experiments and summonings into the occult. According to one source, locals were certain that they had been using the powers of hell for their experiments. So Huska Castle is still considered haunted, and many tourists have reported seeing headless horses and demonic winged beasts lurking in the halls. And finally, in first place, we have the Ouija board recovered from the Donovan household. Yep. Ouija boards count as demonic rituals. I repeat, as always, leave the stupid things in the store or wherever you found them. Not worth it. Patty Donovan was simply a lonely teenager who thought the board could find her a friend, and well, it found her a manipulator. She spent months falling in love with a spirit she believed to be in love with her, telling it secrets about her everyday life, becoming emotionally dependent on the spirit. So on the evening of March 2nd, 1974, Patty pleaded for the spirit to manifest. Yeah, the next morning, her father, Theodore Donovan, found the spark plug wires pulled out, the rubber hose unfastened, and the fan belt cut when he attempted to start his car. Not much later, Patty attempted to start her car, and it was discovered that the internal engine had been completely disassembled. That week, other incidents of apparent vandalism occurred around the Donovan house, and Patty could no longer raise her invisible boyfriend on the Ouija board. Night after night, she tried to communicate, but the planchette would simply slide over to goodbye. She had no idea that her ethereal boyfriend had actually manifested in the form of a supernatural vandal. By the second week of March, material damage to the house and cars had become so troublesome that Ted complained to the police. When they arrived, he pointed out the destruction done to garden plants and shrubs, the exterior of the house, and the apparent intrusion into a locked garage to puncture tires and tear engines apart. Before leaving, the policeman assured Ted that they'd keep an eye on the property during night patrols. Later that second week, after work, Ted and his wife Ellen were sitting in the kitchen with their son Brian when all three heard something smash against a wall somewhere inside the house. And after investigating, they found a gaping 18-inch hole in the plasterboard wall wall inside Brian's room. Just as upsetting was the fact that the jagged edges of the plasterboard were pointing inwards, with the blow coming from inside the walls. The house was further plagued by loud noises every night that only escalated in frequency and volume, along with further unexplainable damage to the walls. On April 1st, furniture began to levitate, with a 250-pound dresser flinging its contents while flying erratically. Rocks had also begun to rain from the sky, pelting only the Donovan house, which the police bore witness to. Ted eventually broke down at work and explained the horror of his home to his supervisor, who urged him to reach out to our favorite people, Ed and Lorraine Warren. So Ted instead tried moving his family into a hotel first, and the spirits followed the family there, destroying the room and making so much noise that the family was thrown out of the hotel and forced to return home. Finally contacting the Warrens, they arrived in Maine as quickly as they were able to, and oh my goodness. Lorraine said nothing, although at the time she sensed in the home the presence of entities so numerous and threatening that she had to fight with herself to keep from going back outside. After a lengthy tour of the house, Ed and Lorraine conducted an interview with the entire family, where Patty's history with the Ouija board was revealed. The Warrens then contacted the Catholic Church to begin the process for an exorcism to be granted, which sadly took about a month. The family experienced many more unexplainable horrors during that time. After the exorcism took place on May 2nd, the family was finally free of the demonic torment, but left with over $5,000 in damages, which would be over $30,000 in today's money.
Number 5. St. Mary the Virgin Church. Clop Hill, England. I gotta say, that sounds like it's a fake place, like where Sir Topham Hatt lives. Well, not only is it real, but it's home to a bone-chilling haunted church, St. Mary the Virgin Church. Now, St. Mary was built in 1350 outside the main settlement of totally real place Clop Hill. Traditionally, churches are built facing the east. I didn't know that. It's so it can align with the sun rising, which in Christianity is associated with heaven and the Messiah. Churches have their altars facing east, so you pray in that holy direction. Well, St. Mary's just had to be a little different, and this church is facing the west, facing away from God. And it's why some people believe the church is hosted to evil spirits, as facing west means they've shunned God and opened their doors to the devil. Paranormal investigators have strongly suspected the church as being host to satanic rituals. As the church fell into disuse, it became a popular spot for vandals, and if you believe the legends, black magic. In 1963, a local couple saw two people wandering around holding a human skull, which definitely I think would cause you to look twice. The people told the couple that they had found the skull in St. Mary's, where it had been jammed into a wall. When the couple went to investigate, they found on the floor a breastbone, pelvis, and leg bones, all laid out in a pattern used for black mass. Pretty spooky. Scattered cockerel feathers and tracings of two crosses filled in red were found inside the church as well. And as if that wasn't slightly unnerving enough, they also found that 6 graves of women in particular had been tampered with as well. All signs seem to be pointing towards some dark rituals happening at St. Mary's Church. Common sightings at the St. Mary's Church range from smaller scale things like strange screeching during the night or hearing the bell going off despite being long abandoned, and the more threatening reports seeing tall, dark figures wandering the ruins of the church, perhaps getting themselves ready for another ritual, or perhaps they've been contacted by a ritual and are arriving. Only thing I know is I won't be checking out the midnight mass there anytime soon. And if you're interested in way more scary stories of all manners, cryptids, conspiracies, churches, hauntings, aliens, we've got a little bit of everything at Top 5 Scary. So click on through, find something to get cozy with, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell so you catch all of our videos as they drop. But do all that stuff at the end of this one, okay? Because we got way more haunted churches for you coming right up. Number 4. Our next entry on the list today is going to be the Aquia Episcopal Church. And if you haven't said that, try saying that 10 times fast. I dare you. Located in picturesque Stafford, Virginia. The church has 200 years of history to it, which means it's also got approximately 200 years worth of ghost stories to study. When the church was first built way back when in the 18th century, it was stained by an unfortunate tragedy. You see, the surrounding areas were exhausted by war and the lack of resources, food, and money, and as such, brigands would take to the dark country roads to attack innocents during the night for whatever they had on them. Well, one young woman was hiding from a gang of highwaymen and marauders and sought out the church as a safe haven. Unfortunately, the bandits eventually caught up with her and she met an untimely end. Now, these men were never caught for their crime, and her body was not found for hundreds of years, left there to rot and decompose. And many believe that because of this, her spirit is tied to the church. And there have been several reports of hauntings ever since the discovery discovery of those accursed bones. Visitors mention hearing footsteps frantically scattered around at night. These footsteps break into a run, but if you go searching, you'll never be able to find anyone attached to them. Voices can be heard in the room where she was attacked, some saying it sounds like a call for help or a painful scream of a struggle. Some go so far as to say they saw a transparent apparition of the woman in the church's windows or on the balcony. One story comes to us from a custodian who worked the graveyard shift there in the 1990s, claiming that he saw a ghostly woman's face floating above the graces, and says that he saw her smiling at him through the balcony windows before she vanished. One last one on this church. In the 1990s, to celebrate the bicentennial anniversary, the church sent out an invitation to a group of Civil War reenactors to fight a mock battle on its ground. During the night, one of the reenactors was complaining that there was a red and orange light that was flickering the entire night during the church that prevented him from sleeping. The man explained this to the father of the church, and the father explained back that there was no electricity in the vestry, and that the light must have been the spirit confused by why the Civil War had started up again. Imagine, you're a ghost, you're already out of time, and then you look outside and you see guys from your time? My little ghostly sense of the world would be so thrown off. I would have to buy a new ghost calendar. Number 3. Monaster Nagayal Duff. Or Abbey of the Black Hag if you don't got all that time. Wow, you see that? You see what that church is called in that little chyron below me right now? I'm just supposed to pronounce that with my lips? Okay, it's also called the Abbey of the Black Hag, and that's what we're going with. We're not calling it that other thing. I'm not doing that. Black Abbey of the Hag, only name this church has ever gone by, and it was built in 1298. And it was one of the well-known medieval convents in Old Ireland. The remains of the abbey still stand today in a secluded valley, making it already mysterious and supernatural place just that much more supernatural and overgrown and spooky. I mean, the place is called the Abbey of the Black Hag. You don't name a place that unless it's extremely haunted or if there's like a cool boss fight or something there. Sounds like it's straight out of Dishonored. It's believed that the last abbess, horrible word by the way, in charge of the abbey practiced witchcraft, and in the scary way, okay? She brought death, misfortune to the surrounding areas. Pope Martin V condemned the abbey, not being down for witches at all. The accused witch left to live out in the damp, deserted abbey by herself, which she probably loved because it sounds scary. Over time, her skin blackened, her hair furled, and her soul twisted, leading to the place being renamed the Abbey of the Black Hag. And if you can believe it, there's actually more to this one. The Count and Countess of Desmond once called the abbey home when attempting to flee their attackers, where the Countess was fatally struck by an arrow and buried by her husband. But it wouldn't be the end of the Countess, because sightings of a ghostly figure around the ruins of the abbey were common, meaning someone eventually went to dig up that grave, finding worn out finger bones, meaning she was still alive when she was buried. It's said now that a woman's panicked shrieking can be heard in the early hours around the abbey. Number 2. The Borley Rectory. The Borley Rectory is an old London estate that has the unique distinction of being considered the most haunted building in the United Kingdom. No big deal, or anything. Almost immediately after its construction, stories of hauntings started to creep out. One of the first local legends says that in the 12th century, a priest and a nun had a naughty little affair, and when they were discovered, the nun was bricked up and left to rot in the nearby church. Since then, they say that her spirit roams the rectory. In 1900, 4 daughters of the then estate owner all said that they saw a nun wandering around the estate late at night. They tried to talk to her, but got no response back, just a scary ghost stare. The family claimed they'd see this nun around the property, and on one occasion they thought they saw the spectral apparition of a horse-drawn carriage with a headless rider, some real Sleepy Hollow stuff. From there on, there was all these reports of bizarre sounds or strange shadows creeping out the corner of your eye. In 1927, the estate changed hands as the original family owning the estate had all passed on, and a new family, the Smiths, had moved in. Shortly after, they discovered a human skull in the cupboard in a brown bag. Which is not a great housewarming gift, to be honest. They reported poltergeist behavior, unexplained footsteps, lights flicking around them, and the same sightings of headless specters. Now, they only lasted 2 years, not being down for any of the hauntings or skulls in cupboards, any of that business. And the next family, the Foysters, didn't have much better luck. They had objects flying around their home, and on one occasion claimed their daughter was attacked by something truly horrible. They moved out as well. And the last owner of the rectory would be Captain Gregson, who accidentally lit the estate ablaze while unpacking, although insurance claims they think the fire was started intentionally, perhaps in a desperate attempt to cast away whatever evil has been trapped in the Borley Rectory for so long, or perhaps he unintentionally unleashed it out into the world. Time will tell. At number 1, Mortimer Abbey. Mortimer Abbey is a monastery in the forest of Lyons, France. A real old church built in 1134 on marshland, near the stagnant water of the drainage lake. The monks dug it out to try and dry the marshy land around the Fulbrock stream, which was called the Dead Pond. In French, Meltmal, which is where the name comes from. You can kind of hear it there. Mortimer, you know. Perhaps it's this history of being built on a dead pond is why Mortimer Abbey was doomed to be haunted. Now, the abbey flourished for centuries, but over time started to become claimed by the passage of time, and it fell into decline and disrepair. In the 17th century, there was an attempt to try and rebuild the abbey and recapture its former old glory, but the decline was already pretty present and had set in by that point, and by the time of the French Revolution, only 5 monks still remained in the abbey. Eventually, the abbey would collapse entirely and go private, and in 1863, the abbey would find itself in the hands of a rich Parisian family, the Delarues. Mr. Delarue moved his wife and his sons into the abbey, but soon discovered they weren't the only tenants. While walking the lawns, the young people of the house saw a light from the library. As if by an invisible hand, these hatches unfastened, their handles turned, and the windows and doors all opened. The paintings on the inside of the abbey turned themselves around and steps thundered out into the halls, and nobody moved out immediately after. I would have started looking for new real estate right then and there. But one night the young Delarue, Charles, had his fiancée over to come see the estate that would become her new home in marriage. She was offered the guest room, but found herself terrified during the night when she couldn't sleep because she was too busy being tormented by mysterious sounds and objects around the room that were hurling themselves around, being possessed by something. Having had, quite frankly, enough, like I think any of us might have, the young suitor announced she would never live in this house, called off the entire marriage, and hurried back to Paris tout de suite, where there were plenty of handsome young men asking her hand in marriage who didn't live in old haunted estates, okay? That's the message to take away from this. Get the love you deserve, and the love you deserve is not in a haunted house.
Number 5 on this list is El Coco. El Coco is a demon that is said to specifically go after children living in South America. This is a story that is told to children all over the continent to ensure that they go to sleep when they're supposed to. Villains Wiki says, Coco is a monster who exists to enforce taboos and ensure that children sleep when told. For should children disobey orders to sleep, Coco is said to hunt them down and may inflict a number of gruesome punishments upon them depending on the story. Usually he's said to eat the children or spirit them away, never to be seen again. Coco may also emerge as a female known as La Coca. The two beings are seen as extensions of the same monster, and as such, the Coca is little more than Coco, taking a female guise, and vice versa. Both share the exact same motives and terrible behaviors. While a force of punishment, Coco is also an opportunist and is said to outright kidnap and devour any disobedient he can find. This is seen as further proof that children should mind their manners and always obey their elders in case a lurking Coco happens upon them misbehaving and captures them for a nightmarish fate. El Coco, El Coca, really doesn't matter which one you get because they're both gonna destroy you if you're a and you disobey your parents. Now, this is probably just a story told by parents to frighten their children into doing what they want them to do. But if there is some legitimacy to this, then this is by far one of the worst demons in South America. To kidnap and kill little for not going to sleep when they're supposed to is pretty horrible. If I was a kid and I heard this story, I'd be so scared to go to sleep on time that I probably wouldn't be able to fall asleep on time. Thank goodness I grew up in North America and didn't have to deal with El Coco. Number 4 on this list is La Viudita. This demon is specifically out here hunting for the men. Max Gax writes, this is a common tale across Latin America, including Argentina. La Viudita is known as the Black Widow. She's said to be a beautiful woman, veiled and dressed in black from head to toe, who walks in the streets after midnight. She tries to get drunk men to her house house. If she succeeds, it's then and only then that she will take off her veil to reveal that her face is nothing more than the grotesque skull. The sight is said to be so horrific that the men are quite literally scared to death as the woman lets out a shriek of hair-raising laughter. For those that survive, they awake at dawn, usually lying in a puddle or covered by thistles and swearing to never party until late again. Let me tell you guys, I am the type of individual who likes to go out. In fact, I do it most weekends. If I was several beverages deep and some pretty lady takes her face off, that's it folks, I'm done. There is literally no more Nicholas Playlog after that. I have no idea why this demon does what it does, but it means that every Argentinian gentleman had better be on the watch for something like this when it flips over to 2 AM at the club. Also, no one has any idea what the thistles are doing there or why you're covered in a puddle. So clearly something pretty terrible happens after you pass out with this demon as well. Probably something that I don't even want to know about. Number 3 on this list is La Cocana. La Cocana, believe it or not, is a barn animal. Yeah, we're looking at a demon who is literally a barn animal here, folks. Pepe's Chile writes, in this Chilean legend, a woman deceived her family by being a housewife during the day and a witch at night. She would use potions to turn herself into various animals and play while her family slept, then use another potion to turn herself back into a human when morning came. One night, she forgot to make sure the children were asleep and they saw her turn into a sheep. As she ran off to play, the children wanted to imitate her and turn themselves into foxes. When they couldn't turn back into children, their cries woke their father. Seeing what had happened, the father threw all the potions into the river in a rage. When the wife came home, she couldn't turn herself back into a human and was doomed to remain a sheep forever. So you're probably thinking to yourself, great, the witch is no more, she's a barn animal now, what can she even do? Well, it's believed that this demon, goat, witch woman is the worst omen that you can see in South America. Sheep are a pretty common animal, but if you happen to set eyes upon this particular sheep, then horrible luck will befall you and your loved ones. Terrible tragedies that you can't even imagine or don't even want to begin to think about. So, how are you going to know that you've seen this sheep when there are so many others in South America? Apparently you're gonna just know. Every demonic encounter that I've read about talks of people feeling that horrible sense of foreboding and a terrible presence. Apparently something similar happens here. Time slows, and as you make eye contact with that demonic barn animal, you know that something horrible is about to happen. There's really nothing you can do to avoid this one, it's just sort of luck of the draw. Hopefully La Cocana doesn't pick you. Number 2 on this list is Bestafera. Bestafera is absolutely deadly, guys, and one of the most visually striking demons on this list. TV Tropes writes, Bestafera, translated to bestial beast, the Bestafera is a horse with a human torso, believed to either be a servant of or the devil himself, who leaves hell through cemeteries during full moon nights to brand people with his mark, which dooms them to hell. Some legends say that instead of marking people, its sight causes them to go insane, but only for a few days. It's also said that it roams forest areas in search of a blood-soaked red flower, and that when he finds it, he disappears. Blood-soaked red flower. No idea what that is, and I don't think I even really want to know either, guys. This is not the creature that you want to run into if you're chilling in South America. This may even be the devil himself for all we know. Artists' renditions of this creature are truly terrifying, and we don't actually have any photographs of the beast because anyone who gets close to it doesn't make it out alive. Stay away from Bestafera at all costs. And finally, number 1 on this list is the Waicafu. The Waicafu is a horrible demon that you can find in Argentina. Maxgax writes, this legend comes from the Mapuche people of Argentina and Chile. According to them, the Waicafu is a harmful spirit or demon. When they were introduced to Christianity, the Waicafu were said to inhabit people as well as being free-form spirits. They can alternate between a human and an animal form too. They're aimed to enslave the souls of the dead, and they take great pleasure in spreading diseases and killing people. They were said to come from the west and had no soul. They were said to enter our world as a consequence of battles with the Pilan spirits, which resulted in the destruction of the perfect harmony of the world. They have the power to capture and enslave the spirits of the recently dead if it is reluctant to leave the body and transform into a greater spirit. If they do manage to trap a spirit in this way, they can use them to hurt other people. In this way, the Waikafu have feared entities. Not only can they enslave your soul and rob you of an afterlife, they can use you to hurt others, perhaps even your own family and friends, and many feel this fate is truly worse than death. Now, what I want to know, folks, and I don't think there's any way to find this out without getting enslaved, but what does it feel like to be under their control? Are you aware that you're under their control? Do you recognize the actions that you're doing when you do them? Or are you just a mindless dummy who's a shell of your former self? Personally, if I ever was to get attacked by one of these things, I would prefer the latter. If this demon forced me to kill or harm my family and loved ones, and I was aware of what I was doing, then yeah, that is way worse than death. Trapped in your own mental prison, having to watch as you hurt the ones that you care about, it's no wonder this demon is so feared in Argentina and why the locals have tried to do everything they can to avoid it. Number 5 on this list is La Madremonte. According to myths and legends of Colombia, La Madremonte is a legend in which a woman who wears moss, leaves, and a green hat that conceals her face. She lives in the dense jungle and supposedly bathes in rivers, causing flooding and heavy storms. Madremonte haunts those who steals other people's land and casts plagues on cattle owners who ignore boundaries and take advantage of others. She also dislikes unfaithful spouses, vagabonds, and general mischief makers and punishes them by placing insurmountable obstacles in their path when they walk through the jungle. They eventually fall asleep with exhaustion and do not wake for hours. I think what's especially dangerous about this demon is her ability to control the weather the way that she does. It's said that even if you happen to be walking throughout the jungle or forested areas and you happen to get close to where she lives, then she'll use her powers to change the weather and make it extremely dangerous for you. This has caused some people to die before and wrecked even people's homes. For the most part, she'll target people who have wronged somebody else before, and even though this isn't right, it at least means that you can protect yourself by not wronging somebody else. However, to just be walking and accidentally run into her home and then get swept up in a horrible lightning storm definitely isn't cool. Be very careful of this demon witch in the woods if you happen to be around the area. Number 4 on this list is El Chupacabra. One of the most famous urban legends in the area, El Chupacabra is probably one that you've heard of before. Now, this demonic creature is most commonly associated with Puerto Rico. It has, as time gone on, been spotted more and more frequently in parts of South America though, like Chile. Wikipedia says, the Chupacabra or Chupacabras, literally goatsucker from Spanish, chupa to suck and cabras goats, is a legendary creature in the folklore of parts of the Americas, with its first purported sightings reported in Puerto Rico in 1995. The name comes from the animal's reported vampirism. The Chupacabra is said to attack and drink the blood of livestock, including goats. Physical descriptions of the creature vary, with some describing it as more dog-like, while others describe it as a reptilian and alien-like thing. Some report it as being a heavy creature the size of a small bear with a row of spines reaching from the neck to the base of the tail. Now, after some extensive research on this creature, I couldn't actually find any reported attacks on humans. So it seems that this bloodthirsty villain is truly only interested in animals. That being said, there were some instances where people had seen this creature, tried to stop it, and it looked as if it was preparing to attack them. Like most vicious animals, it's probably most interested in its food, but it's gonna defend itself to the last ounce of its energy if it has to. Therefore, El Chupacabra is truly only super dangerous to farmers of livestock. If you happen to be a farmer of said livestock, then having some sort of mechanism to keep out this vampiric demon lizard is of critical importance, or else it will completely decimate your animals. It's definitely better that you invest in some serious fencing, because trying to stop it by yourself, it could prove very dangerous. Number 3 on this list is the Encantados. The Encantados are a group of multiple demon creatures that reside underwater. They are extremely dangerous and have reportedly been responsible for several human disappearances. The thing about Encantados is that they're very curious about humans, and you may have no idea that you're dealing with one for a long time. Mental Floss says the Encantado is a dolphin, but one with evil powers. Encantado means enchanted one in Portuguese and refers to a special kind of boto or long-beaked river dolphin native to the Amazon that can take human form. Encantados are curious about humans and are especially attracted to big, noisy festivals which they often attend as musicians staying in human form for years. How can you recognize one? Look under its hat. They always have bald spots that are actually disguised blowholes. Encantados are usually friendly, but they occasionally hypnotize and kidnap young women and take them back to the Encante, their underground city. Sometimes the women escape and return pregnant with an Encantado baby. So they seem really nice and good right up until they decide to kidnap you and take you to their underground city where any number of things could happen. Most of the people who are taken there never return, and as they said, the ones that do have another passenger coming along for the ride. The origin of Encantados are not 100% confirmed, but it seems that many people think that it was a small village that was cursed to live underwater for a long time. Now they reside there except for the few times that they take the surface disguised as humans to see what we're up to and to take a few of us back to their evil lair. Number 2 on this list is El Cebon. El Cebon, also known as the Whistler, is a demon that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. This is a mistake though, and frankly we need to be talking and educating more about this demon and how dangerous it can be. The Spanish language blog says, according to a legend often told in the rural parts of Venezuela, El Cebon is the last soul of a young man who one day killed his own father in revenge because he murdered his son's girlfriend as he didn't approve of their relationship. After he killed his father, the young man's grandfather took it upon himself to punish him by tying him to a tree and beating him with a whip until he bled. Then he condemned him to carry his father's remains in a sack on his back. As the boy walked away into the plains, his grandfather yelled at him, "You shall not do that to your father, you are damned for all eternity," and then set his rabid dogs after him. It's said that the boy's spirit brings death and destruction to anyone who comes across him. His ghost is described as an extremely tall and skinny man who wears a farming hat and whistles the notes do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. He's very tricky while deceiving his victims. When his whistling is heard up close, he's actually far away, but when he's heard from afar, you better start running because he's actually nearby. So first off, that initial family is freaking messed up, dude. Your dad kills your girlfriend, so then you kill your dad, but then your grandfather beats you, forces you to carry around your dead dad, and then sends dogs after you. Like, what the heck? Aside from the family being absolutely bonkers, this demon is also kinda nuts as well. I get serious Batman Joker vibes from the creepy whistle that he does there to indicate that he's coming to get his victims. The way he kills his victims is said to be very graphic as well, and he won't have you die slowly. It will be a long and drawn out process of torture that will have you begging for death. Nobody really knows how to defend yourself against this demon either. Fighting it one-on-one just simply won't work and you're gonna lose. You just need to pay very close attention to the whistle, and if you do ever hear it, don't second guess anything, just take off and don't look back. Hope that he loses interest in you and moves on to something else. Just a terrifying demon who you need to avoid at all costs. And finally, number 1 on this list is Saint La Merte. So, Saint La Merte is one of the most famous on this list, and I can promise you that you definitely do not want to run into this one. Saint La Merte is your typical personification of death in South America. It is a male figure that's dressed in a hooded cloak holding a very sharp and very menacing scythe that is sometimes referred to as Saint Death. Saint Death, or just death if you will, brings one thing alone, and it's not a welcome gift. No, as you would expect, it's death. And this demonic personification of death is said to be pretty inherently evil as well. There are many followers that look up to Saint Death and praise him. The biggest following for him is in Argentina and the countries surrounding Argentina. Saint Death is said to reward his followers by helping them on their evil ventures. Let's say that you're a dangerous murderer, but you're also a strong supporter of Saint Death. Well, if Saint Death likes you, then he'll use his powers that he has to have you evade the law or even assist you in killing people. He grants numerous requests that are all connected to crime and violence and is basically the guardian angel for the evil criminals of the world. Sen la Muerte also acknowledges those who do not devote a part of their lives to him, and it's not the type of acknowledgement that you'd want. He will often kill those who disrespect him and don't support him. This is part of the reason why he has such a strong and stable following, and many people are constantly praising him and his abilities. If you ever see this demon confront you, then there's most likely nothing you can do at all. That will be the last thing that you ever see and your last moment ever spent on Earth. Number 5 on this list is the Lackanon. These are tricky demons, and if they approach you, then you need to be very wary. Wikipedia says the Lackanons are a race of elf-like creatures in Philippine mythology. In Visayans, they were believed to be handsome and beautiful creatures that resemble nobles and monarchs of the pre-Hispanic Philippines. They dwell on Dalakit trees, hence the name Dalakitnon, which literally means from the Dalakit or Dakit tree. This mythological race exhibits sexual dimorphism, the men having light-colored skin and very dark hair, and women having bronze-brown skin and brown hair. Stories say that they have leaf-shaped pointy ears, depicted in modern times as gothic, like tall, handsome males and beautiful females. They dress in fashionable manner, live in the haunted house-like mansions, and try to fit in with mortal people. Some believe that the only way to Dalakit, their dwelling place, is by entering the Dalakit trees. These creatures abduct people and take them back to this world. They hold a feast for their victims and force them to eat the black rice that then puts them under their spell, making them their slaves. So that sounds like the actual worst. You get taken to their mystical land and then forced to eat this rice, which, I mean, I can only imagine is gonna be something really gross, because then it makes you their slave. My question is, what the hell does becoming their slave even entail? Like, what is this world that I now live in, and what is it that I have to do here? I guess I'm in some evil elf-like hell or something, but that doesn't really sound like a great time. The biggest problem with this is that you need to be super vigilant, or else it's very likely that they could get you. If you don't notice those pointy ears, then that could be game over, guys. Number 4 on this list is the Amalanhig. The Amalanhig are sort of like the Philippines version of a zombie. Myths and folklore says, in the Philippine mythology, the Amalanhig or Maranhig are flightless aswang that came back to life after death. They rise from their grave after failing to pass their power to a relative. Upon rising from the grave, these Amalanhig lurk in the woods and live as bloodsuckers. At night, they go to nearby villages to prey on the residents using their sharp, pointed tongue. Aside from the Amalanhig of Aswang origins, some deceased humans could also turn into Amalanhig. These are people who died with unfinished business or were murdered and came back for revenge. The Amalanhig with unfinished business are relentless in pursuing the persons they have chosen to fulfill their goals. Avenging Amalanhig tickle their victims to death while sucking their life force. According to one legend a long time ago, before the Spaniards came to the Philippines, a chieftain ordered his priestess to create an army of warriors that couldn't be killed. These immortals were created by killing ordinary men and encrusting their bodies with dark soot, putting a strange pebble in their mouths and doing other rituals. After 3 days, they came back to life, but they were mindless, walking corpses that only died after accomplishing their task. They had me right up until I learned that they tickle their victims to death. Like, don't get me wrong, I still do not want to run into something like this, but I guess it's just hard to be scared of something that's gonna tickle me to death. The whole sucking my life force thing, yeah, that sounds like the worst. I don't want any part of that. But tickling? Really? We couldn't have come up with any other way of murdering people, guys? Number 3 on this list is the Pugot. I get serious Stranger Things Demogorgon vibes with this next demon creature. Myths and folklore says, in the Philippine mythology, the Pugot, which translates to the decapitated one, is a mythical fiend that's found in the Ilocos region. It can assume various shapes such as hogs, dogs, or even as humans. However, it usually appears as a black, gigantic, headless being. The creature usually resides in dark places or deserted houses. However, they especially like living in trees such as the duhot, santol, and tamarind. Aside from its shape-shifting abilities, the Pugot can also move at great speeds, feeding on snakes and insects that it finds among the trees. It feeds by thrusting food through its neck stump. Although terrifying, the Pugot is relatively harmless. However, the creature is fond of women's underwear and steals them when they're being dried on a clothesline. The Pugot is also found in the Ilfogo myth Tulod Nimputo, the self-beheaded, where he appears to the human hero. He was fed by the hero with chopped chicken meat that was mixed with blood. So I guess the good thing about this is that even though it has incredible power and speed and could be super dangerous, it chooses not to be. Well, unless you're a pair of ladies' underwear, in which case you might be in for it. Actually though, what is up with these Philippines demons? They're just kind of plain creepy, guys. Like, we had the tickle zombie and now we have the headless Demogorgon panty thief. I swear that this legend was just made up by like some super weird guy just as an excuse for why their neighbor's underwear kept going missing. Number 2 on this list is the Bati Bat. This is a very dangerous demon and one that you do not want to piss off. Myths and folklore says in the Philippine mythology, the Bati Bat or Bangungot is a vengeful demon found in Ilocano folklore. These demons were blamed as the cause of the fatal nocturnal disease called Bangungot. They usually come in contact with humans when the tree that they reside in is felled and made into a support post for a house. This causes them to migrate into holes found in the post. The Batibat forbids humans from sleeping near its post. When a person does sleep near it, the Batibat transforms to its true form and then attacks that person. It sits upon the chest of its victim until he suffocates. To ward off the Batibat, one should bite one's thumb or wiggle one's toes. In this way, the person will awaken from the nightmare induced by the Batibat. Once again, guys, we just have one of the scariest demons here with also the weirdest caveat attached to it. To ward this thing off, we need to wiggle our toes? Like, are you actually kidding me? I mean, at least this one doesn't steal panties, I guess, so, that's a thing. Also, this one, unlike some of the others, is actually very deadly. You could easily die from this thing if you're unable to wiggle your toes, which would actually be rather hard considering you're going to be asleep when this thing attacks, so it could be game over. I could totally see how if I was living in the Philippines, this thing would be one of my biggest fears. Like, I would exclusively be living in like a brick house or something. No wooden posts for me. And finally, number 1 on this list is the Ek-Ek. This one had to be number 1, and when you hear what it does and how it operates, you'll understand why. Wikipedia says in Philippine mythology, Ek-Ek are bird-like human creatures. They are winged humans who search for victims at night. They hunger for flesh and blood. They're usually described as flying creatures that look like the Menangle but are unable to divide or split their body in the way that one does. The Ek-Ek is also associated with the Wok-Wok because of some similar characteristics. The only difference between a Wok-Wok and Ek-Ek is that Ek-Ek has a bird-like bill whereas the Wok-Wok has none. The Ek-Ek can transform into a huge bird or bat at night to prowl in the form of. Similar to the Menangle, the Ek-Ek looks for sleeping pregnant women. Then it extends a very long proboscis into the womb and kills the fetus by draining its blood. It's said that while this is taking place, a ek-ek-ek sound is often heard. The Ek-Ek fools people into thinking that it's far off in the distance by producing a faint sound when it's actually really near. What the actual heck, guys? Most of these other demons are derpy dudes looking for underwear and tickles, but this thing? This is for real. Fetuses and blood draining and just No, I don't want it. How on earth does the Philippines grow in population with these things roaming around? I'd be too scared of having this thing come attack in the middle of the night. And tons of people feel the same way. Many rituals and services are done to try to ward off these creatures. I hope that some of these work, because if they don't, consequences could be dire.
Coming in at number 5, we have the Perrin family. It's January 1971. A large farmhouse sits in Harrisville, Rhode Island. The Perrin family, Carolyn, Roger, and their 5 daughters move into what they thought would be their dream home. One night the family notices strange occurrences happening. A couple of strange noises as if they hear things moving on their own, couple chairs. From the first night to the first week, right away though, the incidents got worse over time. It started with a missing broom at first, but then resulted in a paranormal nightmare, to say the least. In researching the home, Carolyn discovered that the same family had owned it for 8 generations previous to them, during which time many had died by either drowning, murder, or even hanging. Paranormal investigator team Ed and Lorraine Warren, the New England demonologists, were brought in. This is where it gets haunting. After a walk about the property, they claimed that the home was haunted by a demon named Bathsheba. In fact, a woman named Bathsheba Sherman had lived on the property in the 1800s. Whoever the spirit was, she perceived herself to be the mistress of the home, and she resented the new homeowners. According to Andrea Perrin, one of the daughters, who remembers the night vividly, says the family encountered several spirits in the house that caused them turmoil. Beds levitating in the middle of the night, tall ghostly shadows, and even their bedrooms reeking of rotten meat. Ew. The family avoided going into the basement at all because of a cold, deathly presence. Basements, man, always. The things that went on there were so incredibly frightening. Quote from Lorraine herself: "The Warrens made frequent trips to the house over the years, and the Perrin family lived there. They performed a seance that had Carolyn Perrin speaking in tongues before she was allegedly thrown across the room by a spirit. The Warrens made frequent trips to the house, but Lorraine insisted that she and her husband would never ever try an exorcism, which must be performed, of course, by a Catholic priest, due to its dangers. The seances apparently allegedly caused Carolyn Perrin to be temporarily possessed one time, which Andrea, their daughter, claims she watched unknowingly from the top of the stairs." Shaken by the seances and concerned for his wife's mental health, Roger Perrin asked the Warrens to leave and stop investigating the house, since it was making things even worse. According to Andrea Perrin, the family finally gave in and moved out of the house in 1980. Luckily for them, the presence did not follow them. Number 4, the Snedeker House. In 1986, Ed and Lorraine Warren were on the scene yet again. We know these two. They're the superhero duo and couple that have literally riddled this planet most of its dark forces. They arrived and proclaimed the Snedeker House, a former funeral home, to be absolutely infested with demons. The Haunting in Connecticut, a film very loosely based on the Warrens' versions of events, was released in 2009. In 1986, Carmen and Al Snedeker moved to a small town of Southington, Connecticut, with the purpose of being closer to the hospital at which their oldest son had been treated for Hodgkin's lymphoma. It was while they were moving in that Al made a startling discovery. In the basements again, in particular, the room that was completely embalmed with tables and tools. Okay. The house, it turned out, used to be a funeral home. Oof. Not long after, Carmen says she began experiencing strange phenomena like items disappearing, and her children reported seeing strange people in the house, as well as hearing voices and the sounds of hundreds of birds taking flight. Her oldest, who at the time was in the middle of radiation treatment, began to exhibit radical personality shifts, becoming animalistic and angry. Mop water was reported to turn to blood red, and the sense of rotting flesh and decay were reported all throughout the home. She was also frightened of apparitions that she saw one night with long black hair and black eyes, and the other with white hair and white eyes wearing a pinstripe tuxedo. It was then that Carmen decided to contact Ed and Lorraine, along with a few other investigators. The Warrens moved into the house until they'd experienced this presence the Snedekers were talking about. During their time in the house, they claimed to have seen first-hand demons in the home, with many team members being slapped and beaten and even slammed to the floor. The Warrens deemed it necessary for a full-scale exorcism, after which the house was judged clear by the Warrens themselves. And a peaceful aura then seemed to linger instead of this once cold, dark presence. I mean, it's a funeral home, you know, right off the bat. That's a no-no for me. Number 3, the Smurl haunting. The Smurls moved into their dream home in West Piston, Pennsylvania, August 1973. They claimed that the premises were disturbed by a demon that caused loud noises and bad odors. eventually even throwing their dog into a wall, shaking their mattresses, pushing their daughters down a flight of stairs, and then physically assaulting some family members on several occasions. In 1986, the family had had enough and brought in the pair of demonologists, Ed and Lorraine Warren. According to Ed Warren, the demon that inhabited the Smurls' home was very powerful, shaking mirrors off the walls, moving furniture of course about the room after they tried to persuade it to leave by playing religious hymns and praying. The Warrens claimed that when a drastic temperature drop happened, a tall dark mass formed in the home, and the demon left a message on the mirror telling them to, quote, "get out." After months of investigation, the Warrens alleged that they had a number of audio tapes containing knocking and movement sounds made by the demon. Spokespeople for the Roman Catholic Church said that the home was blessed by several priests who said that they saw no harmful activity. The Smurls, however, claimed a priest performed 3 unsuccessful exorcisms and that the demon avoided the rites by moving between the floors of the home. That same year, the pastor of Immaculate Conception Parish in West Piston said the Smurls felt that after intense prayers, things were finally back to normal. After the Smurl family moved, the next family never encountered anything supernatural while living there. Hoax or haunting? What do you think? Number 2, Amityville. The Warrens are best known for their involvement in the 1975 Amityville horror investigation. New York couple George and Kathleen Lutz claimed that their house was haunted by a violent demonic presence so intense that it eventually drove them out of their home with mental health problems. The reported haunting was the basis for the 1977 book and adapted into the 1979 and 2005 films of the same name, while also serving as inspiration for the film series that followed. Though their investigations remain intriguing, the Amityville horror case was Ed and Lorraine Warren's claim to fame. In November 1974, 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr., the eldest child of the DeFeo family, murdered his entire family, including all of his siblings, in their beds with a .35 caliber rifle. Ugh. The infamous case became the catalyst for the claim that demons and spirits haunted the Amityville house. In 1976, George and Kathy Lutz and their 2 sons moved into the Long Island home and soon believed a demonic spirit was residing there with them. George said that he witnessed his wife transforming into a 90-year-old woman and then levitating above their bed late at night. They even claimed to see slime seeping out of their walls and a pig-like creature running around their house. Even more unsettling, knives flew off the counters, pointing right at family members. It got so violent and unpredictable that the family walked around the house with a crucifix, reciting the Lord's prayers around their neck. On their final night there, they say banging as loud as a marching band was coming from the house. 28 days after being in the house, they had to leave. Yeah, no doubt. Ed and Lorraine Warren visited the home, and according to the Warrens, Ed was thrown to the floor and Lorraine felt an overwhelming demonic presence. Along with their research team, they claim to have captured a picture of a spirit in the form of a little boy on the stairway. The story became so infamous the couple passed a lie detector test with flying colors. That's terrifying. Their son, Daniel, admits that he still has nightmares about the horrifying things that he experienced in the house growing up. Yeah, gruesome stuff. I won't spoil Act 3, but it gets dark and bloody. Speaking of gruesome, and our number 1 spot, Michael Taylor. It's 1974, Yorkshire, England. Michael Taylor, aged 31, father of 5 and husband to Christine Taylor. Michael was a well-mannered and caring father and husband. Michael, like anyone, became depressed from a back injury and left him short on work and oddly off. After seeking religious advice and one-on-one sessions at a local church, Michael started having outbursts and acting aggressively. Puzzled, of course, he sought one-on-one sessions which turned ugly very soon. After apparently changing form and attacking Marie, a young religious leader helping Taylor, and unable to remember anything, Michael and the church agreed that an exorcism was necessary. Father Peter Vincent and Reverend Raymond Smith met at St. Thomas and started. It got so violent, he was even tied to the church floor. After hours in the middle of the night, the two had managed to exorcise more than 40 demons out of Michael, in which they had appeared around them as they exited. Violence continued, leaving only 3 remaining for the next day. After returning home from the first session, Michael was found now hours later, naked, in the middle of the street, covered head to toe in blood. Michael apparently had returned home, which then his wife and family dog lay dead as the police arrived in the AM. He was arrested soon after for the death of his wife. Michael had this to say about his late wife in court. Quote, "Released. I am released. It is done. The evil in her has been destroyed. He was acquitted on psychological conditions, and the jury found that he had met his breaking point during the exorcism. He was acquitted on insanity and remained in and out of facilities until he passed in 2013.
Number 5, The Ghost. Coming up first today in our list of real, scary, demonic footage from the beautiful country of India is this particularly threatening video that's been making the rounds online, which, if you believe some commenters, may have proof of ghostly life on it. Or unlife? Is that more correct? Anyway, let's roll the clip and let's take ourselves a look. This white-clad ghost was caught walking on the rooftops of Varanasi in the VDA colony located in the Badi Gabi area. Now in this video you can see a shadow walking on the rooftop of a house and that pale, ethereal, ghostly figure seemingly blowing in the breeze. Now when the video was shared, it went viral quickly on Twitter, causing a small panic amongst local residents who demanded that there was a formal investigation made by police. Do you guys not know? Have you guys not heard? Has this not reached you? That is not the team you're supposed to call when there's something strange in the neighborhood. You call the Ghostbusters. They have a whole song about it. Now, of course, not everyone bought immediately that this mysterious figure was a ghost. More than a few commenters on the original video suggested that it was just someone hanging their laundry out to dry, and the video was little more than all of us letting our imaginations run wild. I gotta be honest though, if it was late at night and I was on the rooftops of India, I think I would definitely be freaked out seeing this, because it does look like a ghost, even if it does look an awful lot like a bedsheet or someone in a Charlie Brown ghost costume. Sure, it could be a human tendency to form anthropomorphic patterns in objects we don't quite recognize, but it's also entirely possible that it is a ghost. I tried to do some follow-up on this. I was trying to figure out if the local police ever did end up investigating this, but I really don't think they would have been much help. You can't really arrest a ghost. Their hands would slip right on through the handcuffs and you would look just ridiculous. How are you gonna keep a ghost in jail? It's gonna walk right through a wall. You can't arrest a ghost, is what I'm trying to get across. And if you're looking for more footage of ghosts that cannot be arrested, Top 5 Scary has all of that and then some. Oh, you better believe. If you can think it up, there's a good chance we've done 2 or 3 videos on it. Ghouls, goblins, aliens, conspiracies, megalodons, everything and more. So hit subscribe. Please make sure you ring that little bell as well so you don't miss a single one of our videos, but do that at the end of this video, okay? Because I got 4 more freaky things coming out of India to show you right about now. Number 4, the pale figure. Now coming up next is a clip, also out of India, believe it or not, you know they're all gonna be out of India, that went viral last year and captured the attention of paranormal enthusiasts, alien hunters, and skeptics alike. It's nice when you get everyone together like that. We all get equally confused by what we're watching. A strange humanoid-like figure was spotted walking across the road in India, confusing just about everybody. Whatever it was filmed walking alone steadily on a bridge at night in Jharkhand in eastern India, staggering through the night. Now the thing resembles a human, that much is sure, and that's what my brain tells me it should be, but the more you look at it, the more you start to wonder if maybe, just maybe, it might be something else. The creature is real gangly and has these long arms and pale white skin and a very skinny torso, and sounds a bit like your host actually, if I'm being honest. It looks a great deal more like a Silent Hill monster than it does a person. Motorcyclists were swerving out of the way of the figure, which stops and stares at them a bit before continuing to stroll onwards. Now naturally, footage this weird has people talking and wondering as to just what the heck this thing could possibly be. More than a few people suggested it could be an alien walking around the streets at night, explaining why it seems so confused about where it is. Others suggested a ghost, which would definitely be pretty spooky. It seems like it's in the physical plane though, so I don't know if it's a ghost. Finally, there's the realists, who have suggested that this could just be someone who had a long night and is lost, trying to find their way home, possibly on 1, 2, all of the substances, trying to get a good night's sleep. Now, I did some digging. As far as I know, nobody cracked this case, so we may never have a satisfying answer. So that is your cue to speculate and sound off in my little comment box. Number 3, a UFO over India. Coming up next is this clip shared online with the caption, "A weird set of lights above New Delhi." Let's take a little look-see. So in this clip, pretty clearly we can see some strange happenings going on in the night sky. There's a scattering of lights above the city's horizon. Now, immediately, your first thought is probably to suggest that it might be drones, which is very reasonable. I feel like drones turn out to be a lot of UFO sightings. But the original poster states that drones really are not common for civilians in India at all and are even outright illegal in some parts of the country. And on top of that, the area that he's filming is said to be in the slums, where it is extra less likely that anybody's got any drones to spare. The video, when it was originally posted to Reddit, the poster added this for context. He said, "I saw this today around 8 p.m. in New Delhi with a friend. It was massive. This cannot be a building, as there is no tall building in that direction, only slums with a maximum height of 4 to 5 floors, but these lights looked as tall as the Burj Khalifa. There was a moderate wind going on, and I thought, if it's drones, why aren't they swaying? Not to forget, drones are illegal in India and especially in New Delhi. It looked massive in the sky. I wish the camera saw what my eyes could see, because it absolutely blew me away. I've been to drone shows, but this looked nothing like it. Any idea what this could be?" Now, some people in the comments section on the clip originally posted suggested that maybe this was a laser light show, but that was just speculation and nothing concrete. A particularly good selection that I enjoyed was that the original poster should have ran towards the lights to see what happens, you know, live a little. Worst case, yeah, you get abducted, but you would get the ride of a lifetime and an amazing story to tell people. Just live a little, you know? And if a UFO is not quite demonic enough for you, terribly sorry about that. Hopefully this next one will change your mind though. Number 2, the mutant goat. Coming in at the next spot, something a teeny tiny little bit different from others. I figured we'd take a small break from pale figures on CCTV and strange lights in the sky, and we'd show something we can all enjoy, you know, something that's fun for the whole family, really bringing everybody together. Mutant goats. On August 16th, a Facebook user named Samira Isa posted these footage of a strange goat that she had discovered. Now, I don't know about you, I already find a goat kind of strange. I think they're definitely one of the most demonic animals by nature. If you've ever heard a goat scream, you definitely know they've got some evil inside them, but this one is on another level. As you can see right away, this goat came out with a face looking a lot more like a human's than a goat. The creature's got a long jawline, a huge nose, and almost like elf ears. It is not hard at all to see why this thing was freaking people out. I think if I saw this writhing and moving in person, I would be running out of the room, grab myself a Bible, a rosary, and some holy water, see about exorcising this demon mutant ghost. Goat. Mutant ghost goat. As soon as the mutant goat was born, it started capturing people's attention, unsurprisingly. Some were afraid the creature was demonic in some way. Others worried the creature was a byproduct of some twisted scientific experimentation. Not 100% sure what the purpose of making a goat with a human face would be. I don't know the practical application of that, but I don't question the facts, I just blindly repeat them. Now, others wondered if this creature hybrid came about naturally, if this was a merging of a deer and a zebra, or a cow and a goat, or a dog and a goat. I don't really know about all that. I'm not a science man, I'm not a scholar, but I don't know if that works the way it does. It might just be a horrific birth mutation that caused this goat to come out serving evil, or could it be something significantly more sinister? Something supernatural we couldn't hope to explain hiding away in those hooves? I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to know. I'm fine with the human face goat and me living on different continents. And number 1, the mountain lion ghost. And in our final spot for today is going to be this ghost footage coming out of Dehradun, India, that's got the internet on fire, and paranormal investigators gluing their eyes to the screen to try and figure out just what was caught on camera. This clip was originally posted to Reddit on the ghost subreddit, not to spoil too much which allegedly is in this video, but allegedly it's a ghost. The original uploader claims that people often hear these spine-chilling cries and screams coming from the railway tracks at night when there's no one around, with locals claiming that the screams come from the restless spirit of the woman who died in a train accident in that place, crying out in agony for those doomed to hear. Let's roll that clip so we can put you on edge tonight. I want you sweating. You hear that? Hard not to. Sounds like a screech that goes right through your ears and sticks into your heart. causing your hairs to stand up so straight you could use them as a level. Now, not everyone is as convinced as your easily convinced host that this is proof of a ghost. There were more than a few commenters who suggested that this screech wasn't from a ghost, but rather from a mountain lion, which is kind of like a ghost if a ghost was an alive, really big cat. Now, I'm a young Canadian man, I've got lots of experience with cougars and mountain lions too, and it definitely does sound like a big cat's growl into the night. They definitely sound terrifying. I think this is a rare case in which the sound that's making the creepy noises that isn't a ghost is worse than if it was a ghost. I would rather be haunted than go toe to toe with a mountain lion personally. I know there's at least a chance I could survive fighting a ghost, like a little bit.